After 30 years of marriage, I died suddenly from a stroke due to overwork. Jean Jania hastily cremated me. 3 days later, he registered for marriage with his stepsister, carrying my property deeds and bank books. The two embraced tightly at the marriage registration office, tears streaming down as they kissed. Shuzhen, I've finally waited for this day. She wasted 30 whole years of our lives. Good riddance. Let her keep serving my mother in the afterlife. Forever as a servant in the Zhang household, the people around them applauded their sincere love. Only I am consumed by overwhelming hatred. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn and returned to the day when Zhang Jianya came to discuss the marriage proposal. The Zhang Jianya before me was young and handsome, his serious face radiating coldness, and he was frowning at me at the moment. We agreed. Today we'll transfer the job to Shuzhen, and once the procedures are done, we'll go get our marriage certificate. Anyway, you're not educated, and the job at the machinery factory isn't suitable for you. Just stay at home in the future. My salary is enough for our household expenses. Alright, meow meow, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and go to the machinery factory to get things done. Jianya, don't worry, we don't ask for a betrothal gift. Our meow meow is very diligent. Once she enters your Zhang family's home, she will definitely live a good life with you. Meow meow. Jian Yi is a full-time worker at the machinery factory. He's doing us a huge favor by even considering you. My stepmother smiled obsequiously and slapped me hard on the back. I coughed a few times from the blow, finally snapping out of my daze. Seeing Zhang Jianya's disdainful expression, I clenched my palm tightly. The pain in my palm tells me this isn't a dream. I've been reborn. I've gone back to the day I turned 19 and got my marriage certificate with Zhang Jianya. You only got this good job because you have a martyr for a father. Otherwise, with your qualifications, how could you ever have gotten into the machinery factory? I'm busy with work most of the time, and Shuzhen is still young. After we're married, you'll stay home to take care of my mother. He called her Shuzhen repeatedly, considering her needs wholeheartedly. Why should I give up my job for her again in this new life? The hatred from my past life surged, burning through my insides. I abruptly pushed away my stepmother's hand and stood up. I'm not going through with this wedding. The air in the room instantly froze. Zhang Jianya's handsome face suddenly turned toward me, his eyes sharp as knives. My stepmother's fawning smile froze on her lips, as if someone had grabbed her by the throat. I calmly returned his gaze. The job is mine, and no one is taking it from me. Why should I give away the iron rice bowl my father left me for free? Want it? I smirked. Sure, pay up and it's yours. You. Zhang Jianya's face instantly darkened. He abruptly stood up, the legs of the chair scraping loudly against the concrete floor. You meow meow. What do you mean by this? Didn't we agree? We were supposed to get the certificate today after finishing the paperwork. His voice carried suppressed anger, his brows furrowed, as if I were some incomprehensible monster. You tricked me. My stepmother finally caught on, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She shrieked, you little brat, what are you talking about? She charged over, raising her hand to strike me. I sidestepped, giving her a cold stare. Didn't I make myself clear? You agreed to the marriage, and you promised to transfer the job to Shuzhen. My stepmother was hopping mad, pointing her finger at my nose. How could you go back on your word? Jianya is waiting to arrange this job for Shuzhen. Her words were like a key, instantly unlocking the floodgates of my memory. Yes, Zhang Shuzhen, Zhang Jianya's stepsister, entangled with Zhang Jianya her entire life. You meow meow. Are you out of your mind? My stepmother, seeing I remained silent, became even more agitated. Shuzhen has already agreed. As long as you give her the job, she'll agree to date your brother. Are you backing out now? Do you want your brother to remain a bachelor forever? How could you be so heartless? Hee. Trading my job for her son's marriage. No wonder she was so nice to me in my previous life, praising Zhang Jianya to the skies and desperately trying to matchmake us. No wonder Zhang Shuzhen, despite clearly disliking my lazy stepbrother, ended up marrying him anyway. So that's where the root of it all lies. Zhang Jianya's anger suddenly subsided. He took a deep breath, as if suppressing something. His tone unexpectedly softened. Meow meow. Don't be moody. He even tried to give a gentle smile, though it was extremely stiff. I know you're upset with me for not discussing the job arrangement with you beforehand, but Shuzhen is my sister. Isn't it only right to help her out? We are family, and family should support each other. We can discuss work later. Okay, let's just get the paperwork done first so no one laughs at us. His softened voice was like a snake's flickering tongue, oozing with a sticky persuasion. It's that same familiar tone again. In my past life, he did this over and over, using this seemingly considerate but actually manipulative language to keep me firmly under his control. The frog in slowly boiling water, saying you love me while keeping me trapped at home. showing concern for me while secretly flirting with Zhang Shuzhen behind my back. I remember once going out to buy groceries, coming back for money, and catching him with Zhang Shuzhen in my kitchen. So close, smiling so suggestively, his explanation at the time was equally dismissive. Meow meow, don't overthink it, Shuzhen just came to pick up something from home, she's my sister, don't jump to conclusions. Looking back now, it only feels utterly disgusting. My foolishness, my gullibility, became the breeding ground for their deceit. Zhang Jianya, stop that nonsense, for the last time, the job is mine. Since you don't meet my conditions, there's no point in getting the certificate. I pointed to the door. Get out, you. Zhang Jianya's gentle mask completely shattered, looking at me in disbelief. He probably never expected that I, who had always obeyed him, would say such a thing. The stepmother was also stunned, her mouth agape, unable to utter a sound for a long time. I couldn't bear to look at their twisted faces any longer. I walked straight to the door and yanked it open. Outside the door, as expected, were a few nosy neighbors peeking around. The sound of the argument inside the room had obviously caught their attention, faces filled with curiosity and gossip. Look, I'm coming out. The faces crowded at the door instantly turned from curiosity to concern. Aunt Wang, the leader, spoke first. Meow meow, what's going on? Why are you arguing with Jianya in broad daylight? Aunt Li chimed in next to her. Yes, talk it out calmly. Didn't you say you were getting your marriage certificate today? Hurry up before they close. I glanced at Zhang Jianya, whose face was ashen, and my stepmother, who was avoiding eye contact. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for both inside and outside the door to hear. It's someone trying to take the job my father risked his life for. The words were like a stone thrown into a still pond. The expressions on the neighbors' faces froze instantly. Who's trying to take your job? Aunt Wan pressed. I raised my hand and pointed to my stepmother inside the house. My stepmother, Lu Tsuifan. She wants me to give the job to Zhang Jianya's stepsister, Zhang Shuzhen. They say Shuzhen married her son, and this job was her dowry. As soon as these words were spoken, the neighbors' looks at the stepmother immediately changed. Surprise, confusion, and a subtle disdain. The stepmother's face turned pale, and she frantically waved her hands. No, meow meow, you've misunderstood. Misunderstanding. I interrupted her. How long has it been since my father's sacrifice? This job was arranged for me, his own daughter, by the factory. You want me to just hand it over to Zhang Shuzhen, and you're teaming up with Zhang Jianya. One wants the job, the other is using marriage as an excuse. Insulting who exactly? My words came out fast and furious. Like a barrage of bullets, Zhang Jianya's face turned completely dark, and he took a step forward to grab me. Meow meow, what are you talking about? I violently shook off his hand, took a step back, and created some distance. Disgust was practically spilling out of my eyes. What I'm talking about, Zhang Jianya, I was blind before, easily swayed by your sweet talk. I thought you genuinely liked me. That's why I agreed to date you. Now it seems all you care about is your good sister Zhang Shuzhen. I emphasized the word sister on purpose. For her, I'd give up my job. Even our marriage is something you'd use to manipulate. You're truly devoted, since you're so dedicated to Zhang Shuzhen's well-being, even willing to sacrifice your own marriage. I pulled a corner of my mouth into a cold smile. Then you meow meow, am not the type to cling. I'm not getting married. Go live happily ever after with your precious sister then. The moment these words were spoken, complete silence fell over the surroundings. Only the sound of neighbors gasping in shock could be heard. Zhang Jianya, probably never having suffered such public humiliation before, trembled with rage and pointed at me. You're absolutely impossible. The stepmother's legs nearly gave out, and she could barely stand, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. The silence lasted only a few seconds. Aunt Wang was the first to react. Frowning as she looked at the stepmother. Oh my, Lu Tsuifan, you're really not being fair about this. While Meow Meow's father's remains are still fresh, you're already eyeing the things he risked his life for. What will the neighbors think of you? Uncle Li also frowned. Exactly. This job is a pension for the families of martyrs. There are regulations. How can it be given to outsiders so casually? Jianya, you're a grown man. How can you get involved in such things? It's outrageous. Another neighbor, Sister Zhang, couldn't help but speak up. Meow Meow is such a good girl, hardworking and filial. How could you help in plotting against her like this? Jianya, for the sake of a stepsister, you treat your fiancé like this. Where's your conscience? I bet there's a lot going on behind the scenes. What's this about a stepsister? I think they've been involved for a long time. The stepmother's face turned red and pale, wanting to defend herself but not knowing where to start. I really didn't. Jean Jianye was even more furious, but was silenced by the neighbor's barrage of words, could only glare at me fiercely, his eyes like those of a predator. Can't take it anymore. The suffering you inflicted on me in my past life was 100 times more vicious. At that moment, a commotion broke out at the door. A hoarse male voice rang out, "Move, get the hell out of my way." The crowd was violently shoved aside. My worthless stepbrother Lu Wei barged in with a thunderous expression. Following him was none other than Zhang Shuzhen, the epitome of purity and grace. Zhang Shuzhen's eyes were red and brimming with tears, looking as if she had suffered a great injustice. As soon as Lu Wei saw the situation in the room, his gaze immediately locked onto me. He rushed to me in 3 quick steps, his eyes wide like copper bells. "You meow, you bitch. What nonsense are you spouting again?" He raised his huge hand, ready to slap me across the face. I instinctively took a step back. Before his palm could land, the neighbors nearby exploded in commotion. "Hey, Lu Wei, what are you doing?" Aunt Wang grabbed his arm. "If you have something to say, say it. Why hit someone?" Uncle Li shouted angrily, standing in front of me, in broad daylight, picking on Meow Meow, an orphan girl. "What kind of man are you, exactly? Is that how you treat your sister?" The neighbors shouted at Lu Wei in unison, holding him back firmly. He was so furious that his neck turned red, but he couldn't break free and could only roar at me through the crowd. "Don't you dare sow discord here. You're ruining my mother and Shuzhen's reputation. I think you just don't want to give the job to Shuzhen and are deliberately picking a fight." Behind him, Zhang Shuzhen began to sob at just the right moment, sobbing, "Wei Ge, please stop." She lowered her head, tears streaming down like broken pearls. "Meow meow. I know you don't like me, but how could you slander both me and Jianye Ge like this?" she cried while stealthily glancing at Zhang Jianye out of the corner of her eye. Her pitiful appearance was truly masterfully acted. Sure enough, Zhang Jianye immediately felt heartbroken. The anger and embarrassment he had just felt under the neighbor's attack instantly vanished. He quickly stepped forward, pulling Zhang Shuzhen into his arms and gently patting her back. "Shuzhen, don't cry, I'm here. It's not your fault, it's Meow Meow who misunderstood." He softly comforted her, but his gaze at me carried reproach and impatience. It felt like I was the one being unreasonable and malicious, watching their sibling love act. I almost laughed out loud. What a pair of scumbags, already defending them. I crossed my arms and watched them coldly. I spoke slowly only after Zhang Shuzhen's sobs had subsided a bit. "Oh, Zhang Jianye, you're really something when it comes to your stepsister." I deliberately elongated the word sister, seeing her cry those pearly tears. "Does it really tug at your heartstrings that much? Weren't you just siding with her earlier, trying to take my job?" Zhang Jianye's arm around Zhang Shuzhen stiffened as he glared at me with a darkened expression. The corner of my mouth lifted in a frosty smile. "I think you should stop trying to take my job, since you, Zhang Jianye, care so much about Zhang Shuzhen and are so considerate of her. Why don't you just give her your job instead? Aren't you a permanent worker at the machinery factory? I hear you're about to get promoted to team leader. What a great future. Isn't giving it to your beloved sister a way to show your deep affection and loyalty?" As soon as I finished speaking, the room, inside and out, fell into another dead silence. Zhang Jianye's arm around Zhang Shuzhen stiffened noticeably. Zhang Shuzhen's sobs stopped abruptly, and with tear-filled eyes, she looked at me in disbelief, as if I were some kind of monster. My stepmother, Lu Tsuifan, finally lost her composure. She burst out like a firecracker, suddenly breaking free from the people holding her back. "You Meow Meow, you little slut, what are you up to?" She pointed her finger at my nose and started yelling, spittle flying everywhere. "The job was left to you by your father. Why should Jianye take it? I think you just can't stand to see our Shuzhen doing well. You're such a jinx. You already killed your parents, and now you're here to ruin our family." Vicious curses, unbearable to hear. I didn't get a chance to refute. Lu Wei, also provoked by my words, had bloodshot eyes. The anger he had been held back by his neighbor earlier now found a new outlet. "Bitch, I'll kill you." He broke free from Aunt Wang and the others, charging forward like a raging bull. The neighbors gasped, trying to stop him again, but this time Lu Wei was determined. He shoved Uncle Li, who was in front, out of the way. The large hand, like a palm fan, failed to strike my face, but he lifted his foot and kicked me hard in the stomach. The intense pain spread from my abdomen in an instant. I groaned and everything went black before my eyes. His body went limp like a cut kite string, collapsing backward uncontrollably. "Ah, he's hitting people. Lu Wei is assaulting someone. Meow Meow, quick, stop him." The neighbors were in complete uproar, with screams and shouts filling the air. Some rushed up to pull Lu Wei, while others anxiously checked on my condition. Amid the chaos, I heard Aunt Wang's shrill voice, tinged with tears, "Call the police, hurry, go call the police right now." I huddled on the ground, drenched in cold sweat, my mind crystal clear. Lu Wei was pinned down by a few burly neighbors, still thrashing and roaring wildly. Lu Zuifan was pale with fear, slumped on the ground. Zhang Shuzhen panicked and hid behind Zhang Jianye, forgetting even how to cry. Zhang Jianye's face turned pale, his complex gaze fixed on me lying on the ground. Soon, uniformed police officers pushed through the crowd and entered, seeing the situation inside the room, especially me lying motionless. Their faces darkened. What's going on? The neighbors began to voice their complaints about Lu Wei's brutality and accused Lu Zuifan of her insults. The public security officers asked a few simple questions and quickly made a judgment. First, send the injured to the hospital. Everyone else, come with us to the police station to give statements. I was carefully helped up by two kind neighbors. As I passed by Lu Wei, he was still glaring at me fiercely. His gaze was so intense, it felt like he wanted to tear me apart. I twitched my mouth, giving him a weak but defiant smirk. At the hospital, the doctor examined me and said it was a soft tissue contusion, not too serious, but I needed to stay for observation. Soon after, Aunt Wang and Uncle Li arrived at the hospital, bringing news from the police station. Meow meow, don't worry, the public security officers have investigated thoroughly, and it's clear that Lu Wei intentionally hurt someone. With solid evidence, he has been detained. Lu Zuifan arrived in the afternoon. Her face showed obvious weariness and fear, her eyes swollen as if she had been crying for a long time. She was carrying a mesh bag with apples and oranges inside. As soon as she entered the ward, she placed her things on the bedside table, rubbed her hands together, and hesitated, as if unsure of what to say. I leaned against the headboard, coldly watching her. She forced a smile that looked even worse than crying. Meow meow, are you all right? What did the doctor say? I remained silent, just staring at her. Her smile grew more strained, her tone laced with pleading. Meow meow, I know your brother was wrong. He acted rashly. He just made a foolish mistake. Could you find it in your heart to forgive him this once? Mom's apologizing to you. All right. As she spoke, tears welled up in her eyes again. If your brother really gets locked up, his life will be ruined. Please, just have pity on your mother and talk to the police officers. Write a letter of forgiveness. Okay. Lu Zuifan's wrinkled face tried hard to appear sincere, and her swollen eyes shed tears at just the right moment. In a daze, it felt as if I had returned to my previous life. Not long after my father's passing, I was overwhelmed with grief, but stepmother Lu Zuifan and the Zhang Jianye family were almost always huddled together, whispering every day. Then, Zhang Jianye found me. He stood in front of me, looking like he had my best interests at heart. Meow meow. You see, Uncle's job is reserved for you, but you're a girl, and working in the factory is too tough for you. Why don't you just give the job to Shuzhen? Once Shuzhen's job is stable, I'll marry you and we'll get our marriage certificate. His tone was so self-assured, as if he were doing me a favor. I was really stupid back then, fell for the so-called love and commitment. I actually believed it. I personally handled the job transfer procedure. I handed over the iron rice bowl my father earned with his life to Zhang Shuzhen. I thought the start of a happy life was just around the corner, but reality hit me hard. It was only a few days after the job was transferred to Zhang Shuzhen's name. Lu Zuifan and Lu Wei showed their true colors. They forcibly took over the house my parents left me, using the excuse that their place was too small and Lu Wei was getting married. They threw all my belongings out, homeless. I had no choice but to go to Zhang Jianye. He did keep his promise, though, and we went to get our marriage certificate together. That's all there is to it. No betrothal gifts, no wedding ceremony, not even a single relative or friend was informed. I was like a shadowy thief, silently marrying into the Zhang family. What awaited me was not my husband's affection, but endless toil and humiliation. In the Zhang household, I slaved away, caring for his bedridden mother for years, and took on all the household chores. What about Zhang Jianye? He was utterly cold to me. For 2 whole years, he didn't even touch me. At night, we slept in separate rooms. I was like a free nanny, not his wife. It was only later that I realized the truth. He's not incapable. He's staying chaste for Zhang Shuzhen. How ridiculous, how ironic. And what about Zhang Shuzhen, who took my job? She landed that respectable job and was living in style. She married Lu Wei, but their marriage turned out to be nothing more than a short-lived farce. Within 2 years, they divorced after constant bickering over trivial matters. After the divorce, Zhang Shuzhen, like a bird without feet, returned to the Zhang household. She started appearing around Jianye Zhang more frequently. She always found excuses to seek out Jianye Zhang. One day she'd ask him to fix something, the next she'd drag him along shopping. They became practically inseparable, making no effort to hide their closeness. The factory was buzzing with gossip. I became an object of pity and contempt for everyone, a pathetic creature who couldn't even keep her own husband, right under my nose, in my so-called home. Zhang Jianya and Zhang Shuzhen were making eyes at each other and carrying on their affair. And I could only endure in silence. The endless daily toil drained me completely, the constant neglect and betrayal shattered my dignity. I'd become a living joke. Every day feels like being deep-fried in agony, pain, despair, numbness. Eventually drained myself dry in silent despair. I wouldn't relive those days for anything. After being reborn, how could I possibly soften at Lu Zuifen's crocodile tears this time? Lu Zuifen's tears seemed endless, the sorrow on her face looking utterly cheap. I curled my lips in a smirk. Want a letter of forgiveness? Her sobs stopped abruptly as she looked up at me in stunned silence. She probably never expected me to give in so quickly. She nodded eagerly, like a pecking chick. Yes, yes, yes. Meow meow. Mom knows you're a good girl. You'd never abandon your brother. Fine. Lu Zuifen's eyes instantly lit up with anticipation. I deliberately raised a single finger. First, take your son Lu Wei and get the hell out of my father's house. That's my parents' house. You and your son have no damn claim to it. Lu Zuifen's smile froze on her face. I raised a second finger. Second, pay up, medical expenses, lost wages, and compensation for emotional distress. That kick from Lu Wei left me hurting all over. We're settling this score properly. Both conditions are non-negotiable. Get this done, and I'll write you the letter of forgiveness on the spot. Impossible. I deliberately paused. Watching her expression darken, a surge of grim satisfaction rising in my chest. Then let your precious son rot in there. He'll serve every damn day of his sentence. A few years ought to knock some sense into him. You, Lu Zuifen could keep up the act no longer. Her face, moments ago contorted with grief and supplication, twisted viciously. She sprang to her feet, jabbing a finger at my face. You meow meow, you ungrateful wretch. How long has it been since your father died? And this is how you treat us. After all the sweat and tears we poured into raising you, this is how you repay us. Let me make this clear, I've got a rightful share in that house. Lu Wei is your brother. She trembled with rage, her voice shrill and piercing. All those apologies and regrets, nothing but lies. Look, this is her true colors showing, just like in her past life. No difference at all. Lu Zuifen ranted and raved, spraying spit with every word, seeing my complete indifference. She seemed utterly enraged. She snatched up the cheap fruit net bag from the nightstand. Humph, ungrateful wretch. I'd rather feed this fruit to dogs than give it to you. She shot me a venomous glare before turning on her heel. The mesh bag swayed in her hand, its shriveled apples and oranges seemingly mocking the whole farce. The hospital room door slammed shut behind her with a bang. I let out a long sigh of relief. Arguing with people like this is a complete waste of breath. But maybe it's for the best. Now that we've dropped the pretense, there's no need to keep up this hollow facade of civility. Lu Zuifen and Lu Wei must get the hell out of my house. That apartment is the only keepsake my parents left me. I won't let those squatters take it over. As for compensation, Lu Wei's gonna pay dearly for that kick. I leaned back against the headboard slowly. Sunlight streamed through the window, warm and comforting, yet my mind was racing at full speed. What should I do next? First, the job. Father's position must remain firmly in our grasp. That bitch Zhang Shuzhen won't get another free ride. Next, the house. Once Lu Zuifen and her family move out, I'll need to find a way to get the property deed transferred to my name permanently. And then there's Zhang Jianya. Just thinking about that name made my eyes turn cold. We've got unfinished business, him and I. Just wait. None of them will get away with this. Didn't even wait to be discharged. That woman Lu Zuifen actually showed up again. Trailing behind her were Zhang Jianya and his precious stepsister, Zhang Shuzhen. 3 people stood blocking the hospital room doorway, each wearing different expressions. Lu Zuifen's face bore an artificial smile, though her eyes betrayed hidden calculations. Zhang Shuzhen hung her head, shoulders trembling slightly as if bearing some immense injustice. As for Zhang Jianya, he looked at me with an inscrutable gaze, a tinge of guilt, but mostly feigned urgency. He stepped in just ahead of her. Meow meow, are you feeling any better? His voice softened with that trademark insincere concern. I couldn't be bothered with him, my gaze sliding past to land on Lu Zuifen. Looks like reinforcements have arrived. Zhang Jianya, seeing my silence, kept up his little performance. Meow meow, I know you're still mad at me. I was wrong about what happened last time. I shouldn't have gotten so close to Shuzhen. He downplayed the whole thing, sugarcoating their dirty little secret like it was nothing. But meow meow, you've got to believe me, you're the only one I've ever truly loved. Once you're feeling better, let's go get our marriage license. His eyes darted around nervously, avoiding my gaze as he spoke. I nearly burst out laughing. and now he still wants to get married. The man must have lost his damn mind. Before I could speak, he abruptly changed the subject. But meow meow, your mother and brother have had it tough too. Your brother just acted on impulse in the heat of the moment. We're family after all. Was it really necessary to go this far? This will only fuel gossip and tarnish your reputation. Before I could respond, Zhang Shuzhen beside me suddenly burst into muffled sobs. She lifted her tear-streaked face, crying as if tears cost nothing. Meow meow, I'm begging you, spare your brother. If he goes to prison, what will become of your mother and me? She sobbed pitifully, her words dripping with misery. After all, I'll soon be your sister-in-law. Zhang Jianya's expression darkened momentarily at her words, but he held his tongue, pretending not to notice. Zhang Shuzhen continued her tearful complaints. We can't possibly get married without a home. Meow meow, be merciful and write your brother a letter of forgiveness, won't you? She spoke while cautiously studying my expression. Deep within those eyes lurked a barely perceptible greed. This family's shamelessness could put city walls to shame. They're putting on a full theatrical performance. One plays the tough guy, one the nice guy, and another pretends to be Casanova. Too bad their act doesn't work on me anymore. I took a deep breath. Suppressing the turmoil in my heart, a frosty smile twisted across their face. Want a letter of forgiveness? Not entirely out of the question. Lu Tsuefen and Zhang Shuzhen's eyes lit up simultaneously. A glimmer of anticipation also appeared in Zhang Jianya's eyes. I began speaking deliberately. Want a house to get married? Fine. Want me to write a letter of forgiveness to release Lu Wei? That can be arranged too. I watched their faces light up with growing astonishment at my words. Then came the twist. This house, I'll sell it to you at market price, not a penny less. Also, make sure to tally up all my medical expenses, lost wages, and emotional distress compensation from Lu Wei's assault. Bring both the housing payment and the settlement money together. The moment the money hits my account, I'll draft the letter of forgiveness immediately. No forgiveness letter leaves here until every cent arrives. Watching their faces freeze instantly gave me immense satisfaction. Can't do it, then don't bother me. The police department is already processing the paperwork. Let the law take its course. He needs time behind bars to reflect on his actions. Lu Tsuefen's face instantly turned ashen. Zhang Shuzhen's sobbing abruptly ceased, her performance forgotten. Zhang Jianya opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. My words poured like ice water over their feverish scheming. Lu Tsuefen's face turned ashen, then deathly pale, like a dyer's vat of shifting colors. Zhang Shuzhen forgot to cry, glaring at me with eyes that could devour me whole. Zhang Jianya was the first to crack. The mask of his hypocrisy finally slipped. Rage contorted his features, twisting his brows and eyes into something unrecognizable. You meow meow. The words exploded from him like a thunderclap. What the hell is that attitude? You were never like this before. You used to listen to everything I said. He pointed at me with trembling fingers, whether from anger or guilt, I couldn't tell. How could you change like this? You're not even giving me basic respect. After hooking up with his stepsister and scheming against my dad's job and property, he still expects me to save face for him. What an absolute joke. He acted heartbroken, as if I were the treacherous one who betrayed his trust. If you keep this up, you'll regret it. His tone grew heavier, laced with condescending threat. Let's just call off this damn wedding. Does he really think this is still his trump card to control me? Does he expect me to grovel for his pathetic favor like I used to? I let out a scornful laugh. Done, Zhang Jianya. Are you even worthy? I can't be bothered wasting more words on him. Get lost. Zhang Jianya's face turned deathly pale in an instant, then flushed crimson with humiliated rage. He probably never imagined I'd dare speak to him in that tone someday. Lu Tsuefen was trembling all over with fury too, likely fearing I'd bring up compensation again. Zhang Shuzhen shot me a venomous glare, then dragged the fuming Zhang Jianya away as they followed Lu Tsuefen in humiliated retreat. Barely 2 days passed. The police station officers arrived as expected. They came for routine follow-up questioning regarding Lu Wei's assault case. Comrade Yu, regarding your stepbrother Lu Wei's case, are you willing to provide a letter of forgiveness? The officer asked matter-of-factly. Officer, I won't forgive him. From the incident till now, his family hasn't shown a shred of genuine remorse. All they care about is how to weasel out of blame and keep scheming to take what's mine. Lu Wei assaulted me. The evidence is ironclad. He must face consequences for his actions. The officer glanced at me, nodded, and jotted something down in his notebook. Understood. We've noted your statement. I knew Lu Tsuefen's plan to use me as leverage to get Lu Wei out was completely dead in the water, but I never expected they'd still have another trick up their sleeves. And what a despicable trick it turned out to be. Thankfully, our kind neighbors caught wind of it and came to warn me. Meow meow, something terrible has happened, that Jean Jianya took his stepsister to the factory. He's waiving some agreement claiming you voluntarily gave up your job for that Zhang Shuzhen, and it's got your signature on it. How dare they forge my signature to steal my father's job? That stepmother of yours showed up too, Aunt Wang added, her face burning with indignation. She made a scene, wailing and carrying on right outside the factory director's office. They're calling you ungrateful, saying you can't stand having them around and want to kick that mother and child out of the house. They're also claiming that job rightfully belonged to her son, that as a martyr's family member, he deserved it, and you stole his position. Meow meow, you've got to act fast. Aunt Wang fretted anxiously, we must stop them immediately. I'll call the old factory director at the machinery plant right away. Back then, it was him who personally approved my father's job when he was still in office. He watched me grow up and had a great relationship with my dad. The current factory director was actually his protege. He told me back then to reach out if I ever needed help. The call connected almost immediately. Hello, who's this? Came a weathered yet vigorous voice. Old director, it's me, you meow meow, you Dehai's daughter. My voice cracked with urgency. Meow meow, a pause on the other end. Sweetheart, what's wrong? You sound upset. Director, I need your help. I rapidly explained the situation. The old factory director fell silent for several seconds on the other end of the line. I could practically see his furrowed brows tightening at that moment. Then came the sudden slam of a hand against the desk. This is outrageous. The old factory director's roar blasted through the receiver, leaving my ears ringing. Outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous. Bullying widows and orphans. Harassing a martyr's family. They've gone too far. Don't worry. Sweetheart, stay put at the hospital. I'm coming right now. Half an hour later, the ward door burst open violently. A sprightly old man with salt and pepper hair came barreling in, wearing a faded mouse suit that had seen better days. It was the old factory director, followed closely by his driver. Seeing my pale face, the old director's eyes burned with even greater fury. Don't be scared, child. Your grandpa's got your back. His voice boomed with unquestionable authority. Let's go, to the factory. Without another word, he turned and left. I'd like to see who dares bully a martyr's family so brazenly. The driver hurried over and carefully supported me. The old factory director sat grim-faced in silence during the entire ride. The car didn't head straight to the factory. Instead, it detoured to the police station first. The director personally stepped out of the vehicle and emerged shortly after entering. I knew it. He went to report this to the police. Signature forgery, that's fraud. This matter won't end peacefully. The car finally came to a stop at the factory's main gate. The veteran factory director led me straight to the personnel office in the administration building, navigating the familiar route with ease under the bewildered gazes of onlookers. We'd just reached the personnel office doorway, when Zhang Shuzhen's artificially sweet, saccharine voice came floating out. Thank you, department head. I'll work hard and prove worthy of the factory's investment in me. Jean Jianya's sycophantic laughter joined in. The old factory director's face darkened further as he shoved the door open. The scene inside froze instantly. The personnel director was handing Zhang Shuzhen a stamped document with an ingratiating smile plastered across his face. Zhang Shuzhen stretched out her hand, her face beaming with unconcealed triumph and excitement. Standing beside her, Jean Jianya puffed out his chest with the smug look of a petty man who'd gotten his way. On the table lay that so-called voluntary transfer agreement in glaring display. My name on it burned my eyes with its audacity. We barged in unexpectedly. All three people in the room froze. The personnel director's smile stiffened. Zhang Shuzhen's smug expression solidified. As for Jean Jianya, the moment he recognized it was me, especially seeing the livid old factory director by my side. All color drained from his face in an instant, like he'd seen a ghost in broad daylight. His eyes widened abruptly, mouth slightly agape as choked gurgling sounds escaped his throat, words trapped behind unspoken terror. A film of cold sweat beaded across his forehead in an instant. He stumbled backward instinctively, pupils darting like a panicked housefly, couldn't bring himself to meet my gaze. He didn't dare meet the old factory director's murderous glare. The old director's piercing gaze swept over him like he was examining trash. Then he turned to the petrified HR manager who'd frozen in panic. Go, fetch the factory director. The personnel manager shuddered with relief, as if granted a royal pardon. He didn't even dare glance at Zhang Jianya and Zhang Shuzhen, scrambling out of the office in near panic. Zhang Shuzhen's face turned deathly pale. Her earlier smugness vanished without a trace, leaving only sheer terror. She turned to Zhang Jianya with pleading eyes, but Zhang could barely keep his own footing. How could he possibly help her? The office was deathly silent. Only the old factory director's labored breathing drummed against everyone's hearts. Soon after, hurried footsteps echoed through the room. A middle-aged man in his 40s, dressed in blue work overalls, strode in briskly. It was the current factory director, Director Wang, the former director's apprentice. Director Wang's heart skipped a beat when he saw the old factory director's livid face. He immediately called out respectfully, "Master, what brings you here? Is this, meow meow?" The old director remained silent, merely tilting his chin toward Jean Jianya, who was trembling like a leaf, and that glaring agreement. Director Wang only needed one glance at the document and a look at Jean Jianya and Zhang Shuzhen's faces to grasp most of the situation instantly. The old factory director finally spoke, his voice like ice. "Wang Hai, look at the fine soldiers you've trained." He slammed his fist on the table. Papers went flying across the desk. "No, let's talk about the brilliant recruits your factory's been hiring." The old factory director's finger almost touched Jean Jianya's nose. "Forged documents, deceiving superiors, and hiding the truth, conspiring to seize the jobs and properties of." Unbelievably audacious, simply unbelievably audacious. When did our machinery factory become such a den of filth and corruption? Is this kind of person even worthy of working in our factory? The factory director Wang was sweating profusely from anxiety. The old factory director's prestige in the factory was unmatched. When he got angry, it was more terrifying than anything else. Moreover, this matter itself crossed the line. Factory director Wang abruptly turned to Zhang Jianya, his eyes sharp as knives, filled with fury and disappointment. Zhang Jianya's legs went weak, and he nearly collapsed to his knees with a loud thud. "You've let me down so much. The factory has been investing heavily in your development to ensure you perform well, not for you to engage in these underhanded schemes and tarnish the factory's reputation. We can't afford to employ someone with such low character and poor morals like you. As of now, you are fired. Get out of the machinery factory immediately." Fired. Zhang Jianya suddenly looked up, his eyes filled with disbelief. "No, director, I was wrong. He stammered, trying to explain. "It's too late." Director Wang cut him off. Then, his gaze shifted to Zhang Shuzhen, who was already as pale as a ghost. "And you, Zhang Shuzhen, young and wicked, stealing someone else's job, absolutely outrageous. You too." Director Wang's words trailed off. A steady footstep echoed at the door. Two public security officers in uniforms walked in. They were the ones the old factory director had requested from the police station after reporting the incident. The old factory director spoke in a deep voice. "Comrade police officers, they forged the signature of Yu Miao Miao, the martyr's family member, with the intent to defraud a job position. Both witness testimony and physical evidence are available." Director Wang immediately chimed in. "Yes, their actions are extremely. Please have the police officers take them away and handle the matter according to the law." The police officers stepped forward with serious expressions. "Zhang Jianya, Zhang Shuzhen, come with us." Zhang Shuzhen burst into tears and collapsed to the ground. Zhang Jianya, completely lost, was dragged out like a limp rag by the police officers, one on each side holding his arms. Only when their cries and struggles faded away down the hallway, my tightly wound nerves finally relaxed a bit. It was only then that Director Wang turned to me, his face showing both apology and concern. "Meow meow, I'm sorry you had to go through this. It's because the factory's review was not strict enough that you had to endure such a scare." I shook my head, my eyes starting to well up. "Thank you, Director Wang, thank you." The former director. Director Wang frowned again. "As for your stepmother, Lu Tsuifan." He turned to the personnel director who was standing nearby. Too afraid to breathe loudly, and instructed, "Immediately notify the family committee. Clearly inform Lu Tsuifan that the house in the family compound was allocated to Comrade Yu Dehai. After Comrade Yu Dehai's sacrifice, according to regulations, the right to reside is inherited by his direct family members, namely Comrade Yu Miao Miao, as a stepmother. Lu Tsuifan has no right to continue occupying the house after his death. She must move out within 3 days." The factory director looked at me and promised solemnly, "Meow meow, don't worry, the job your father left will always be yours. Once you've recovered from your injury, you can come to the factory to report for work at any time. Alternatively, if you'd like to follow the policy and handle the necessary procedures, the factory fully supports you. I've kept my job, and I've kept my house. I preserved everything my father left me, which he paid for with his life, the day I was discharged." The sunlight was unusually harsh. I took a deep breath, and the air, tinged with the scent of disinfectant, now felt like the fragrance of freedom. 3 days later, I officially stepped through the gates of the machinery factory, dressed in brand new overalls. I wore my work badge pinned to my chest, bearing my name, Yu Miao Miao, What's mine has finally returned. The workshop buzzed with machinery, the air thick with the smell of oil and rust. But this time, I felt no discomfort at all. This is where my father fought and gave his all. Back to the small building in the family compound. The door lock has been replaced. Pushing open the door, the house has been cleaned, though empty. It is bright and spotless. Lutzuafen's belongings have long since vanished without a trace. Just like her, she was completely swept out of my world. Finally, this place is entirely mine. I stood in the center of the room, the sunlight streaming in through the windows, warm and cozy. This is the home my father left me. I held on. Later, news trickled in. It was during a crackdown. Lu Wei, implicated in several intentional injury cases, was sentenced to 7 years. Zhang Jianye and Zhang Shuzhen forged documents and attempted to fraudulently obtain job positions. Although they were unsuccessful, the nature of their actions was extremely and had a very bad impact. Zhang Jianye was sentenced to 1 year. Zhang Shuzhen, being an accomplice, received only 6 months with a 1-year probation due to her good attitude in admitting her mistake and Zhang Jianye's defense on her behalf. However, the news of her attempt to steal a job position spread throughout the entire factory area. Their reputation is completely ruined. Their future is completely gone as well. When I heard these news, I was in the workshop learning to read blueprints with the master technician. I didn't feel much of a stir in my heart. Evil begets evil. Karma always comes full circle. That's all there is to it. Life in the factory is busy but fulfilling. During the day, I work in the workshop, learning skills from the master and operating machines. As soon as I got home in the evening, I took out my high school textbooks. I can't spend my whole life in the factory. My dad is a hero, but I can't live in his shadow forever. I want to pave a broader path on my own. For 2 years, I had almost no entertainment. All my salary, except for basic living expenses, was spent on books and study materials. In the compound, the lively evenings of others playing mahjong and watching TV had nothing to do with me. The light in front of my window always stayed on late into the night. Is it bitter? Very bitter. Is it tiring? Extremely tiring. But that inner drive keeps me going. I want to see a broader world. 2 years later, I took the college entrance exam. On the day I received my college admission letter, I cried. It wasn't sadness, but the excitement and relief of finally achieving my goal. I got into a university in the provincial capital, mechanical engineering. I took the admission notice and went to bid farewell to Director Wang. He looked at me with a complex expression, a mix of pride and regret. Well done, meow meow. Your father would be so proud of you if he knew. The doors of the factory are always open for you. I bowed deeply. Thank you, Director. On the day I left the machinery factory, I glanced back at the towering chimney. This place had once been my safe haven in life. Now, it's time for me to set sail. University life is a whole new chapter. Occasionally, bits of news about those people would reach my ears. I heard that after being released from prison, Zhang Jianye married Zhang Shuzhen despite everyone's objections. Both the Lu and Zhang families were furious, but they couldn't stop them. Perhaps it's true that true love is tested in times of adversity. Their married life, as expected, was a complete mess. Zhang Jianye lost his job, was overambitious but unwilling to work hard, and could only do odd jobs. Zhang Shuzhen lost her reputation, blamed everyone at home, and fought with Zhang Jianye every few days, over money, over who did more or less, over old grudges. The once talented man and beautiful woman had become a thoroughly unhappy couple. As for Lu Tsuefen, after being driven out of the compound, she reportedly quickly hooked up with a man in the transportation business, probably looking for a long-term meal ticket. Unfortunately, the man was married. Not long after, his wife, accompanied by a few sisters, caught them in the rental house, tearing both clothes and hair to shreds. The incident became the talk of the town. After that, no one ever saw her again. Some say she went back to the countryside, while others claim she went even farther away. In any case, she vanished completely from this city, like a speck of dust. After graduating from university, I stayed in the provincial capital and joined a larger design institute. Those people and events that once haunted me like nightmares have finally completely left my life. All the regrets and pain from my past life seem to be gradually washed away by this new chapter of life. The sun is shining, and the future looks promising. You meow meow, have finally left the past behind. I am now living a truly new life that belongs to me. Story 2. On New Year's Day, my husband handed me a standing ticket with confidence, supporting his white moonlight. This is Cece's ticket, you two should swap. Seeing no reaction from me, Lin Yanqing pushed me twice more. Suwani, I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Cece is pregnant, you should give her your sleeper ticket. I finally looked up, coldly staring at the two of them, and bluntly refused. This is my ticket. Why should I give it to Tang Cici? The pain from the train's tearing sensation still spread throughout my body, and I couldn't help but hug my arms tightly. This time, I absolutely will not compromise with you. Lin Yanqing didn't expect me to refuse him in public, and he was embarrassed. He started scolding me in front of everyone. Suwani, Cici is only 3 months pregnant and her fetus is unstable. As a woman, how can you be so lacking in compassion? Since you're healthy, why can't you help the disadvantaged? Tang Cici rubbed her belly and leaned toward me, looking at me with, Sister Wani, I don't want to take your birth, I'm just not feeling well, please have pity on me. This child was also very hard for me to conceive. The doctor said I can't overwork myself. So I had to muster up the courage to trouble you. She wiped away a couple of symbolic tears after saying that. With her and Lin Yanqing's coordinated performance, they completely portrayed me as heartless. The surrounding passengers couldn't stand it anymore and began to offer their advice. She's pregnant. Can't you just give up your seat? It's not like you'll lose a piece of flesh. If it were my friend, I wouldn't hesitate to give them my seat. Look at the poor pregnant woman's face. It's already pale. How can you be so heartless? I coldly watched the people around me making sarcastic comments. Indeed, people always like to be generous with others' money and help others in need. In my previous life, I was constrained by their words. Under the verbal attacks of these people, I was forced to switch positions with Tang Cici. She comfortably slept soundly on the sleeper bed I bought. I did consider discussing a swap with Tang Cici midway. But Lin Yanqing refused sternly with the reason, don't disturb the pregnant woman's rest. And so, I stood in the crowded carriage for a full 40+ hours, feeling listless and weak in the legs. After enduring until the station, I stumbled off the train, only to lose my balance and knock over Tang Cici, who was walking in front of me. She held her stomach in pain while glaring at me with resentment. Suwani, I just lay on your berth for a while, and now you want to kill my child. I was just about to explain, it's not like that, but Lin Yanqing slapped me hard, sending me flying. Bitch, stay away from Cici. I lost my balance, slipped, and rolled straight onto the tracks, where I was crushed beyond recognition by an oncoming train. The police ruled my death an accident. It had no impact on Lin Yanqing and Tang Cici's lives. Even because of my death, Lin Yanqing conveniently got my house and savings, and he and Tang Cici started living shamelessly. My thoughts returned. The pain of being dismembered still faintly resonated from every part of my body. I looked at Lin Yanqing, whose entire world revolved around Tang Cici, and felt utterly disappointed. After 3 years of marriage, I thought my efforts would move this man in front of me. Unfortunately, as time went on, all he did was demand more and more from me, taking everything for granted. Looking at Lin Yanqing's face, which once attracted me, now only filled me with disgust. I crossed my arms and gave a cold laugh. I bought the tickets, and I say no one gets on. Lin Yanqing was even more furious upon hearing my refusal. Suwani, can you stop being so willful? Cici is pregnant. I gave a cold oh, she's pregnant, so why did she buy a standing ticket? Tang Cici's face turned bright red in an instant, but I had no intention of stopping, knowing you're pregnant and still buying a standing ticket. Trying to guilt-trip passengers with sleeper berths, it's almost like a scam. She doesn't care about the child in her womb, so why should I, a stranger, worry about it for her? He paused for a moment and scanned the surroundings. Some might think the child in her belly is mine, even if the child in her belly wants to call me mother. It depends on whether I acknowledge it or not. 2. Tang Cici looked at me with, her eyes filled with tears. Wani, how could you falsely accuse me? You clearly bought this standing ticket for me. How could you wrong me like this? I already told you I was pregnant when I bought the ticket, yet you deliberately got me a standing ticket. Is it because you saw me pregnant, and you can't conceive yourself, that you harbor resentment and want to harm my child? How could a pregnant woman like me possibly stand for so long? She choked back tears and started crying. I didn't expect her to be so quick-witted and push the conflict back onto me. Lin Yanqing beside her was even more heartbroken, and without hesitation, he pulled Tang Cici into his arms. Stop crying, it's not good for the child. Then he became frustrated and self-critical. It's all my fault. I wanted Suwani to help you buy a ticket, but I never expected her to get you a standing ticket. Truly, the heart of a woman can be the most venomous. Even the crowd that had just calmed down started to feel outraged again. First, comforting Tang Cici, I tell you, sister, your mood is the most important when you're pregnant. Don't cry anymore. With us here, you can rest assured, we won't let you suffer any. Then, they gave me a lecture. How could you be like this? You knew she was pregnant and still bought her a standing ticket. Have you no conscience at all? I never expected you to look decent and young. At least you went to school. How could you do such a heinous thing? facing the public's accusations. I remained calm and unflustered. Watching Lin Yanqing and Tang Cici embrace so intimately across from me, I smirked slightly. Oh, so it's my fault, huh? To my sudden change, the surrounding passengers were momentarily stunned but quickly chimed in. If you know you're wrong, then give up your seat to the pregnant woman. Exactly, that's the right attitude. To admit and correct one's mistakes is a great virtue. I intently watched Tang Cici and Lin Yanqing, not missing the fleeting smugness in their eyes. Trying to take my sleeper berth, not a chance. Just as everyone was about to relax, my lazy voice rang out again. Tang Cici did indeed ask me to buy her a ticket. Everyone looked at me with confusion. She only transferred me $100, but asked me to buy her a $500 sleeper, treating my card like an ATM. Help me out here. Should I just suck it up, or suck it up and be the sucker? Full of helplessness, Anne. The previously outraged passengers all widened their eyes and looked at me, then glanced at Tang Cici. Her face turned as red as a monkey's bottom in an instant. I sighed. Look, everyone seems quite willing to help, and I'm not some unreasonable shrew. If anyone would kindly offer their seat to this pregnant woman, I can transfer this 100 yuan to them right away. After all, she's pregnant. I'm sure everyone would be happy to help. Right, as soon as I finished speaking, the passengers who had been so eloquent all fell silent. Yeah, as soon as it involves their own interests, everyone chooses to stay silent, let alone this kind of thankless, losing proposition. Only Lin Yanqing stood resolutely by Tang Cici's side. Suwani, don't try to guilt-trip others. This is clearly your fault. Why should others bear the responsibility? I smiled at Lin Yanqing. So you know this is guilt-tripping too, so guilt-tripping me is fine, but not Tang Cici. What a double standard. Soon, our argument caught the attention of the train conductor. She looked at me sternly. The train is about to depart. Please return to your seats. Tang Cici suddenly clutched her stomach, her face contorted in pain. Ouch, ouch, my stomach suddenly hurts so much. 3. The conductor looked at Tang Cici nervously. What's wrong with you, ma'am? Tang Cici looked at the conductor pitifully. Hello, I'm pregnant and in a high-risk period. Just now, I stood for a long time again. The tone was even more breathless, as if on the verge of fainting. When buying the ticket, I specifically chose a bunk bed. My ticket is for the lower bunk, while Lin Yanqing's ticket is for the upper bunk. The conductor didn't hesitate to place Tang Cici on my bunk. Tang Cici, however, seemed startled and nervously stood up, saying, No, she doesn't let me sit here. Though her face showed in fear, her tone sounded more like she was complaining to the conductor. Hearing Tang Cici's words, the conductor fell for it and directly blocked Tang Cici's pretended attempt to stand up with his hand, turned to me unhappily. Is this your seat? I calmly nodded. The conductor's brow furrowed even deeper after hearing this. Madam, respecting the elderly and caring for the young is a traditional virtue of the Chinese nation. Giving up seats for the elderly, weak, women, and children is something we learn from a young age. How can you be so selfish? Since Ms. Tang is pregnant, we should actively offer our help instead of standing by coldly. Look at her. She's so exhausted her face is pale. It wouldn't hurt for her to sit on your berth for a while. If everyone were like you, what warmth would our society have left? The people around also nodded in agreement with the conductor. This big sister is really fierce. She wouldn't give up her seat for a pregnant woman no matter what. Exactly. We talked till we were hoarse, but she just wouldn't budge. Thank goodness you, the conductor, are here. You should really give a good talking to such an immoral person. Lin Yanqing chimed in. Shame on them. They're supposed to be good friends, yet they wouldn't even give up a seat. The conductor looked at me in even greater shock after hearing that. Since you know each other, it's even more inappropriate. How can you be so cold-hearted? How can you ignore your pregnant friend like that? Is that how you treat a friend? This is the ticket I bought. Tang Cici looked at the conductor with feigning reluctance. Comrade, I know you're doing this for my own good, but since Wani won't let me have it, I have no choice but to go to the standing room car. Those words immediately sparked the conductor's protective instincts. Firmly holding back the overly dramatic Tang Cici, alright, just lie down and relax, no one is going to kick you out. Tang Cici gave me a triumphant look and said, Wani, I'll leave it to you then. She then handed me the standing ticket she was holding. The conductor also patted me on the shoulder and said, hurry back to your car. The train is about to leave. After that, he moved on to the next car. Lin Yanqing plopped down beside Tang Cici, patiently peeling an orange for her while also reminding me, Wani, if you need any help over there, you can always come back to us. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding aunties all chuckled and praised Lin Yanqing as a good man. Only I stood by the window, tightly gripping my standing ticket. Tang Cece looked at me triumphantly. You should have just given me the seat earlier, now I've been standing for so long. My back is killing me. After saying that, she gave Lin Yanqing a resentful glance. Lin Yanqing tried to placate Tang Cece with a flattering smile. She's crazy, don't let her upset you, it's not good for the baby. As he spoke, he tenderly massaged Tang Cece's back, eliciting a shy murmur from her. People would think they're the married couple. Looking back, my marriage to Lin Yanqing was nothing but a joke. He married me for my money, but gave his love to Tang Cece. What a great guy. Huh. I coldly watched their oblivious interaction and turned to leave the sleeper car. I borrowed an amplifying megaphone from the dining car. I pressed the button and recorded the audio. Soon, the sound of the megaphone echoed throughout the entire train. 4. Attention please, attention please. There is a pregnant woman in the sleeper car of train K2808 showing signs of miscarriage. Is there a doctor on board? This passenger needs your help, thank you. Just as it was halfway through, the conductor stopped me, looking displeased. What are you doing? I put on an anxious expression. Hello, my friend just cried out in pain, and I'm afraid something might happen to her child. Please help me. The conductor remembered the scene of Tang Cece crying out in pain and joined the search for a doctor without hesitation. With our joint efforts, we gathered 4 or 5 obstetricians in less than half an hour. When I returned to the carriage with the doctor, Tang Cece was leisurely lying on my bunk, binging a drama. Seeing me back again, she frowned unhappily. There's no place for you here. What are you doing here? The next second, I sadly hugged Tang Cece's arm. Cece, don't worry, I brought the doctor. Your child will be fine. Tang Cece was stunned by my sudden action. What are you talking about? Lin Yanqing, returning with water, saw me holding Tang Cece's arm and pushed me away. What are you doing here again? Cece is just pregnant. Can you stop bullying her? This time, everyone around, including the doctor following me, gave Lin Yanqing strange looks. Even some doctors came to her defense. This lady was worried about the pregnant woman having a miscarriage, so she specifically asked a few of us doctors to come and help. No one is trying to bully your wife. When he heard wife, Lin Yanqing glanced at me guiltily. Little did I know, I didn't even bother with him and just quickly asked the doctors to examine Tang Cece. Doctor, please take a look at my friend. She was just complaining about stomach pain. The doctors didn't hesitate and were about to start examining, but before they could touch Tang Cece, she dodged away. I'm fine, no need for a checkup. Without a word, I pulled Tang Cece out. You're going to be a mom soon. How can you avoid seeing a doctor when you're sick? Come on, let the doctor take a good look. Are you having a miscarriage? Even the passengers around her were urging Tang Cece. Didn't you just have a stomachache? Look, your friend still has a conscience and specially found a doctor for you. Just take a look. What if something happens to the baby? Reluctantly, Tang Cece allowed the doctor to examine her due to the enthusiasm of the crowd and the doctors. 4 or 5 doctors took turns examining her, looking at Tang Cece one moment and frowning the next, before finally turning to me. Your friend's baby is very healthy, already 4 months along, and the pregnancy is very stable. Oh, so it's already 4 months. Before I could speak, Tang Cece took over. That's good, that's good. I was worried that my emotional excitement might have affected the baby. The doctor nodded again. As long as you don't run or jump, this baby is very stable, I chimed in. Would standing more often also be beneficial for the pregnant woman? The doctor didn't quite understand me, but he dutifully replied, a bit more exercise will make childbirth easier. Tang Cece was about to object when I interrupted her. Did you hear that? You've been hogging my birth for half an hour. Didn't you hear what the doctor said? Get back to your own compartment. The doctors were left completely stunned. Tang Cece hugged the blanket tightly, stubbornly lying on the bunk. Lin Yanqing, who had been silent just now, started to defend her. The conductor just said that this bunk is for Cece. Are you deaf or forgetful? I calmly looked at Lin Yanqing. So even if she's healthy, you're going to take my spot for her. Exactly. How can you be so heartless? I grinned. That's exactly what I wanted. I sat down on the ground, wiping away tears in distress. Everyone, please help me judge this situation. How am I supposed to live like this? I'm rich. Is that my fault? Do you want me to be your easy target? So, to punish me for being wealthy, you shamelessly embrace your mistress in front of me, your lawful wife. 5. With just one sentence, the carriage was once again in an uproar. Lin Yanqing, don't you love exploiting the masses? Why not let them see the true faces of you two hopeless lovers? After all, everyone just thought Tang Cece was his wife. Who would have thought the real one is me? The onlookers immediately shifted their attention to Lin Yanqing. Even the conductor standing behind the doctor was stunned. "What are you talking nonsense about?" Lin Yanqing glared at me in fury. I blinked. "Aren't you my husband?" There was no denying it for Lin Yanqing. I pointed to the two of them, who were standing close together, and said, "Aren't you hugging Tang Cici right now?" What did I make up? Lin Yanqing immediately let go of Tang Cici's shoulder as if he had been electrocuted, saying, "Don't spread rumors here." I was just being more considerate because Cici is pregnant. Don't think of us in such a dirty way. If it weren't for the fact that I died once, I had no idea Tang Cici and Lin Yanqing were already involved so early on. When I married Lin Yanqing, we agreed to be child-free. Lin Yanqing didn't object either. I thought he had given it as much thought as I had, but now, seeing Tang Cici's belly, I realize, the penniless Lin family really does have a throne to inherit. Faced with Lin Yanqing's explanation, I cried even harder. "Even your sleeper ticket was bought by me. How can you be so brazen about using my money to support your mistress?" The passengers who were just indignantly accusing me of having ulterior motives suddenly understood the whole story. Anyone would be furious about this, directly targeting Tang Cici. "You, as the other woman, actually have the nerve to ask the wife to buy you a train ticket, and you even specify a sleeper. How shameless can you be?" "Exactly, you should be keeping a low profile. How can you be so brazen as to ask for money?" I almost felt sorry for you just now, but anyone who climbs up by sleeping their way to the top isn't worth it. You're so young and already learning to steal someone else's husband. You're going to face karma for this. Tang Cici was bombarded with questions from the passengers, unable to get a word in edgewise, and could only cower behind Lin Yanqing in fear. Lin Yanqing, seeing the overwhelming number of passengers, didn't dare to argue back, but instead turned his attention to me. "Suwani, aren't you going to stop them, letting them spread lies here and ruin someone's reputation? Do you know that spreading rumors is illegal and can land you in jail?" I muttered to myself, "What a coward, picking on someone like me, a weak woman." I must have been blind to have fallen for Lin Yanqing. I idly scratched my ear and said, "Oh. Spreading rumors is illegal, but did I do that? Weren't you enjoying yourself when they were attacking me just now?" "What? This time it's Tang Cici, and you're feeling sorry for her. I'm truly moved to tears by the strength of your love." I glanced at the conductor in the corner and pointed to Tang Cici, saying, "This person is occupying my seat. Could you please do something about it?" Lin Yanqing looked at me anxiously. "Suwani, don't go too far. How can you kick a pregnant woman out?" Unfortunately this time, the conductor won't help them. It looks like the conductor is about to kick his beloved Tang Cici off the train. I kindly gave Lin Yanqing an idea. "Since you care so much about her, why not give your seat to Tang Cici?" The passengers obediently dripping with sarcasm. Lin Yanqing could only grit his teeth and explain, "Cici is pregnant, and who will take care of her if I leave? Besides, I have an upper bunk. How is a pregnant woman supposed to lie down there?" I rolled my eyes in silence, thinking, "So you're into married women, no wonder you're ing me." That set off a round of laughter from the people around. No one paid any more attention to Tang Cici and Lin Yanqing's drama. Under Tang Cici's persistent coaxing, Lin Yanqing had no choice but to reluctantly switch seats with her. He even reminded me to take good care of Tang Cici before leaving. I simply pretended not to hear. "Take care of her, take care of the other woman. You must have a thick face." A kind came over and patted my shoulder. "Sister, why are you keeping such a man for the winter?" I nodded in agreement. "This marriage must end." Lin Yanqing glared at me angrily. "Suwani, I'm still here. I didn't even lift an eyelid." "Oh, you're still here. Sorry, I forgot. Come on, sis, let's continue." I continued to mock him in front of Lin Yanqing. He didn't spare Lin Yanqing any face at all. He left our compartment with a black face. 6. I comfortably lay down on my bunk. This time, I finally don't have to sacrifice myself for that despicable couple. After Tang Cici was shunned by everyone, she could only lie alone and neglected on the upper bunk of Lin Yanqing. However, she still had the audacity to order me around. "Wani, I'm thirsty, get me a glass of water." Before I could say anything, an auntie stepped in to stop her. "Are you missing hands or feet? Can't you pour it yourself? I'm pregnant. How can you treat me like this?" The auntie wasn't about to back down either. "It's people like you that are causing the divorce rate to rise. In ancient times, people like you would have been drowned in a pig cage, you know." Tang Cici was utterly silenced and couldn't retort. Everyone had experienced being deceived, so naturally, they didn't give her a kind look. Tang Cici could only angrily call Lin Yanqing for help. Lin Yanqing, who had been standing for 4 to 5 hours, wearily ran to the carriage to pour water for Tang Cici, all the while complaining to me, "Wani, you weren't like this before. Why are you so heartless now?" "Oh, And you didn't cheat before either. Why are you like this now? My words again drew disdain and snickers from the surrounding passengers. Lin Yanqing could only shut his mouth. Midway, Lin Yanqing could no longer stand it and came to discuss with me if we could switch positions. I didn't even lift an eyelid and pointed upwards. Lin Yanqing snorted coldly and then spoke softly to Tang Cici. Cici, how about letting me lie down for a while, only to be gently refused by Tang Cici. Yanqing, it's not that I don't want to switch with you, but look, I'm on the upper bunk and I'm pregnant. What if I get hurt climbing up and down? This is the result of Lin Yanqing's fawning. That's quite amusing. Throughout the journey, I chatted and laughed, ate and drank with the elderly folks around me, quickly blending in with them. The trip would have been perfect if it weren't for Lin Yanqing and Tang Cici occasionally acting up. 40+ hours passed quickly. I got off the train feeling refreshed and packed up my things. Soon after, I saw Lin Yanqing, trembling, helping Tang Cici down. You're still complaining when you see me. Are you in such a hurry to be reincarnated? Hurry up and get a taxi. I'm exhausted. Oh, and you'd better get a premium car. Cici is pregnant and can't sit in those cheap, smelly ones. Tang Cici gratefully threw herself into Lin Yanqing's arms and said thank you. Lin Yanqing always acts like a big shot in everyday life. He's already used to my care. No matter what we do, it's taken for granted that I'll take care of everything. After all, I have the means and the money. So he can enjoy all kinds of services with his eyes closed. This time, I didn't argue with Lin Yanqing and obediently called a private car. I put my luggage in the car. Far away, Lin Yanqing was still calling out to me, Wani, hurry up and put mine and Cici's luggage in the car. I just smiled at them. They really are a perfect match. Without looking back, I got into the car and closed the door. The driver, following the hotel address I provided, hit the gas and drove off. Lin Yanqing was dumbfounded as he watched the car drive away. He limped after the car, only to trip and fall face first due to his numb legs. Cursing faintly echoed from behind. Suwani, you bitch. I comfortably sat in the private car. Maybe I was too lenient with Lin Yanqing before, which made him think that no matter how humiliating he was to me, I wouldn't leave him. This marital farce should come to an end. Some people should really experience some hardship. 7. Lin Yanqing always says he's the only son in the family and has been away from his parents for many years. It's not easy to have a holiday to visit them, so I never get tired of accompanying him home every festival. In the first year after our marriage, I paid to renovate their rural home and bought a lot of furniture and appliances to improve their living conditions. Even during every festival visit, I would bring back many expensive items. They always show off these things to their neighbors. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, Lin Yanqing's phone rang. Suwani, what kind of tantrum are you throwing now? We agreed to go home and visit our parents during the new year. So what do you mean by leaving without a word? The elderly are still concerned about where you've gone. How can you, as a daughter-in-law, expect the elderly to worry about you? I chuckled to myself. Were they really concerned about me? More like they were eyeing the gifts in my suitcase. After all, Lin Yanqing's filial piety as a son is something I've been paying for. Without me, Lin Yanqing would be left empty-handed. I lounged lazily on the sofa. Oh, you brought Tang Cici, didn't you? I was afraid of disturbing your lovey-dovey moment. Isn't that me being considerate and booking a hotel for myself? Shouldn't you praise me for that? Lin Yanqing was fuming, but could only lower his voice to lecture me. Are you done yet? I've already told you that Cici is just my fellow villager. And we happen to be on the same route back. How long are you going to keep this up? Why are you being so willful? Our parents have been talking about you non-stop. I'll give you half an hour. If you still want to be a proper daughter-in-law of the Lin family, come back immediately. He hung up the phone after saying that. Just fellow villagers, I think you're just too scared. If it weren't for your family looking down on Tang Cici's poor background and having a younger brother, you would have already won the beauty over, wouldn't you? I had my secretary check Lin Yanqing's expenses over the years while on the train. It turns out that a significant portion of it was spent on Tang Cici. What a clever move to swap dragons and phoenixes, selling yourself to support your white moonlight. Even Tang Cici's prenatal checkup fees were charged to my account. I directly called the lawyer. Help me prepare a divorce agreement and debt documents. Just after talking to the lawyer, I heard a knock on the guest room door. I never expected Lin Yanqing to bring his parents and various relatives to the hotel to find me. As soon as I opened the door, Lin's parents warmly grabbed my hand. Wani, why are you staying at a hotel? Then they glanced around the decor. It must cost a fortune to stay here for a day. How can you be so extravagant with your money? I remained silent. Do I need the Lin family's approval to spend my own money? After Mrs. Lin finished speaking, She warmly held my hands. I know you and Yenching had some misunderstandings. And I've already talked to him for you. Every couple has arguments, but they always make up in the end. He looked at me earnestly again. Wani, you and Yenching are not getting any younger. The problem in your relationship is that you don't have a child. A woman isn't complete without having a child. Yenching is the only son of the Lin family. We can't let the lineage die out. You can't focus only on your career and neglect your family, right? I raised an eyebrow. So, Lin Yenching was blaming me for not having a child, with his parents backing him up. Lin Yenching remained silent throughout. Since you want a child, isn't that perfect? I smiled and placated Lin Yenching's parents. You're right, we do need to have a child. As soon as Lin's parents heard this, they were overjoyed and immediately asked me to pack my things and go back with them. I refused. I sent them away with small things and promised to visit in person tomorrow. Only then did I manage to get rid of them. Before leaving, Lin's dad couldn't help but mutter to me in a low voice, "What a wasteful woman." I wasn't angry. After all, the good days of their family sucking blood off me are coming to an end. 8. The next morning, I went to the Lin family with a lawyer and documents. On the way, I also picked up Tang Cici, and without hesitation, she came along when she heard I had a holiday gift for her. Lin Yenching was momentarily stunned when he saw Tang Cici, and without a second thought, he jogged over to help her out of the car. This scene was just witnessed by Lin's parents. Lin's mom quickly stepped between them and slapped Lin Yenching's hand away, saying, "What are you doing? It's improper to be so touchy-feely." Tang Cici's face turned extremely pale. It wasn't that Lin's mom particularly liked me. It was just that the villagers were terrified of getting entangled with the Tang family. The Tang family was notorious in the village: a drunk father, a paralyzed mother, and a gambling brother. Anyone who gets involved with Tang Cici will be burdened with the Tang family for life. Men always like to play the hero. Unfortunately, Lin Yenching has a heart full of compassion, but lacks the ability to truly help. I smiled and pulled Tang Cici closer to me, saying, "We're all family here. What's the big deal?" Lin's mother shot me an annoyed look and let out a cold humph, saying, "Only a family cursed for 8 generations would end up with her." I smiled at Lin Yenching and comforted Aunt Lin, who would curse themselves. Lin Yenching will soon marry Tang Cici. You two have a family bond that was cultivated in a past life. Aunt Lin and Lin Yenching spoke simultaneously. What did you say? What are you talking nonsense about? One is shocked, the other is angry. Aunt Lin stared at me with wide eyes. Wani, what are you saying? I calmly looked at her. Aren't you always wanting a grandson? I nodded toward Tang Cici. She's carrying your family's precious grandson. This is a huge blessing. I even asked the doctor. It's a boy. I've come today specifically to congratulate you, the Lin family, on having an heir. After hearing this, Lin's mother glared at Tang Cici with a venomous look. Tang Cici trembled with fear. Lin Yenching quickly stepped in front of Tang Cici, carefully shielding her behind him, and looked at me with displeasure. Suwani, haven't you caused enough trouble? You're just a barren hen. Do you want me to have no descendants? What's wrong with me having a child with Cici? It's not like it affects you. Do you have to make my home a complete mess to be satisfied? Lin Yenching didn't disappoint me. He admitted it so straightforwardly, that saved me from having to present the other evidence I had prepared. I just gave a casual "oh." Lin's mother, however, seemed to lose all her strength and collapsed to the ground. The lawyer handed me the documents with tact. I took the documents and threw them at Lin Yenching. Sign them, and you can be with your true love forever. Seeing that they were the documents for a clean break and debt acknowledgement, Lin Yenching didn't hesitate to throw them on the ground. I will not leave empty-handed. You're dreaming. Even if we get divorced, you must give me half of our property as compensation for my emotional distress. You really want it all, huh? That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. You eat my food, drink my drinks, and now you want my money too. Too bad. How could I not be prepared? I clapped my hands a few times, and a construction team walked in behind me. Tear down these houses for me. Lin Yenching didn't hesitate to stand in front of the house. What are you doing? This is illegal. Stop right now. I glanced at the lawyer, who immediately handed over a business card. According to the law, Miss Su demolishing her own house is not illegal. The Lin family was dumbfounded. 9. Even my parents begged me, Wani, let's talk it out. Talk it out. I completely ignored them. Lin's mother stormed right up to Tang Cici, sat on her, and started slapping her hard. Tang Cici could only keep pleading with Lin Yenching. Yenching, save me. I just stood there quietly, watching their drama unfold. Lin Yenching was completely overwhelmed. On one side, his pregnant first love, and on the other, the family home. After struggling for a while, He finally rushed in front of Tang Sisi and shoved Lin Ma aside. With a heart full of pain, he hugged Tang Sisi tightly and shouted angrily at the workers dismantling the place, "Stop it, I'll sign." Then he glared at me viciously, "Suwani, you're so wicked, you'll get your comeuppance." "Ha, comeuppance, hold the signed documents." I glanced at the unfortunate couple on the ground and smiled softly. "If there's any retribution, it should be yours." Before leaving, I kindly reminded Lin Yanqing, "Oh, by the way, I had my guys tell Tang Sisi's alcoholic father that you got his daughter pregnant. I think he's on his way here right now." I left with a smirk. It said that the Tang family has been racking their brains for years trying to find a suitable match for Tang Sisi. Anyone who heard about their family situation ran away in fear. Now that Lin Yanqing has taken over, the Tang family has seized the opportunity and quickly moved in. As soon as I left the courtyard, Tang's father arrived at the Lin family's place. The moment he entered, he delivered a brutal punch to Lin Yanqing, causing him to spit blood. He immediately started yelling at Tang Sisi, "You shameless good-for-nothing, you've completely humiliated me. I was counting on you to bring in some betrothal gifts, and instead you got pregnant." He still wasn't satisfied and kicked Tang Sisi hard twice. After saying that, he turned to Lin Yanqing, "You scoundrel. You got my daughter pregnant, and you must compensate me for my losses. I'm telling you, you're marrying her whether you want to or not. The betrothal gift must be 88,000 yuan, or else I'll report you to the police for rape." Lin Yanqing, his cheeks flushed, looked at Tang's father. "Are you marrying off your daughter or selling her?" Tang's father looked at Lin Yanqing without a hint of embarrassment. "You've already slept with her, so you have no right to bargain with me. If you don't have the money, just wait to go to jail." Lin's parents, who had just caught their breath, almost fainted again. Indeed, only a scoundrel can deal with a scoundrel. Without listening to their foul language any further, I left this already impoverished village. Apart from the money Lin Yanqing owes me, which I will have my assistant collect regularly, we have no further ties. Later, the assistant who went to collect the debt said. The Tang family shamelessly moved into the Lin family's courtyard, and every day was chaotic. Lin Yanqing not only had to take care of Tang Sisi's pregnancy but also her paralyzed elderly mother. Tang Sisi's brother came asking for money every other day. Lin Yanqing finally unleashed all his anger on Tang Sisi, even causing her to miscarry. Tang Sisi stopped pretending and shamelessly demanded compensation from Lin Yanqing, leading to another uproar. The two got into a fight and both ended up in the hospital. One ended up with a crippled leg, the other with a broken arm. Even their disabilities were in perfect sync. I smiled. This must be what they call true love. I signed a document and handed it to the secretary. The setting sun's rays streamed into the office. Staying away from the wrong people makes life better. The end. That's it for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. Reborn. I deliberately arrived late to delay getting the marriage certificate with Gu Wenlin. In my previous life, after Gu Wenlin found out I was pregnant, he disappeared with Bai Xiaomei for 20 years. Later, as I was on the brink of death, he returned. He looked at the photo of Bai Xiaomei and said to me, "If only we had delayed getting our marriage certificate for a little while, would the outcome have been different?" Realizing I had been reborn, I found Gu Wenlin standing at the dormitory door, waiting for me to go get our marriage certificate together. I lied that I needed to deliver something to a colleague and sent Gu ahead to the marriage registration office to wait for me. After parting ways with Gu Wenlin, I went up the mountain, lying in Aunt Wang's rocking chair, gazing at the sea of clouds in front of the house, basking in the sun. Aunt Wang handed me a roasted sweet potato and asked curiously, "Aren't you supposed to be getting your marriage certificate with Engineer Gu today? Why are you here?" I took a bite of the warm roasted sweet potato. Smiling, I told her, "Auntie, I had a nightmare. Waking up, I feel uneasy." Auntie Wang comforted me. "It's just a dream. What matters is the life you're living. After you marry Engineer Gu, there will be plenty of good days ahead. What more do you have to fear from nightmares?" I paused for a moment, then smiled and nodded. "You're right, Auntie. I'll stay for a little while and then leave." Marrying Gu Wenlin. Not in this lifetime. In my previous life, I had just received my marriage certificate with Gu Wenlin and walked out of the marriage registration office. He bumped into a girl head-on. The girl's name was Bai Xiaomei, and she lived in the village where we worked. On our way back, Gu Wenlin remained silent the entire time. I thought he had become a married man and developed a sense of discretion around female colleagues. I never expected to find out just before I was about to die. It turned out that the collision was when Gu Wenlin fell in love with Bai Xiaomei at first sight. He's not avoiding suspicion, he's regretting why we couldn't get our marriage certificate a day later. After that day, Gu Wenlin became much colder towards me. He always stares blankly in the direction of the village alone. I asked him why, but he avoided answering. After asking too many times and with my busy work schedule, I stopped asking. I'll wait until he figures it out and is willing to communicate with me. After the village project was completed, Gu Wenlin and I were assigned to different project teams. We had to live apart. I thought it would only be temporary, but with each subsequent assignment, he was sent far away from me. I mentioned it to Gu Wenlin, and he just said indifferently, "Follow the organization's arrangements." It wasn't until one day that I returned to Beijing for a report. It was only after hearing my colleague's conversation that I realized, apart from the first time we were assigned separately, every time after that, it was a result of Gu Wenlin actively requesting it from the higher-ups. I had a huge argument with Gu Wenlin. Afterwards, he hugged me and apologized, but never explained why. After daybreak, Gu Wenlin left. I think our marriage is over. The unexpected always comes suddenly. I'm pregnant. After learning about my pregnancy, Gu Wenlin changed his previous indifference. He began to take thoughtful care of my life. He awkwardly tried to learn how to cook for me, would press an ear against the belly to listen to the baby blowing bubbles, would accompany me on walks every evening. One day, Gu Wenlin suddenly disappeared. I asked many people and searched for him for a long time. No one knows where he went. No one could tell me whether he was dead or alive. I started going to prenatal checkups alone, giving birth alone, taking my child to the hospital alone, and raising my child alone. I handled the funerals of both sets of parents alone. I thought he was dead, but just as I was on my last breath, he suddenly appeared before me. It was only then that I realized he had been with Bai Xiaomei all these 20 years. They adopted a son and gave him all their love. Bai Xiaomei passed away first, her heart burdened with unspoken grief. Her only regret before leaving was that she never became his wife in her lifetime. Gu Wenlin said he felt guilty towards me, yet also resented me. I find that utterly unreasonable. Why didn't you tell me sooner that you didn't love me? He could have divorced me and given Bai Xiaomei a home. Instead, he shouldn't have abandoned his wife and children, neglecting his parents. What right does he have to resent me? The son I raised myself said he envied the adopted son of Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei, who was nurtured with love. He complained that I brought him into this world without his permission. It was only then that I realized he had already been in contact with his father without my knowledge, and had been keeping it from me all along. I stayed at Aunt Wang's place for an hour. After bidding farewell to Aunt Wang, I headed straight to the marriage registration office. When I arrived at the marriage registration office, I happened to see Gu Wenlin helping Bai Xiaomei up. I saw Gu Wenlin staring at Bai Xiaomei, unable to tear his eyes away for a long time. The face that had been slightly annoyed now showed a look of amazement. In my past life, I was too busy helping Bai Xiaomei up and engaging in conversation with her. I failed to notice Gu Wenlin's unusual behavior. Now, looking at it from the perspective of a bystander, it turns out everything was so obvious. Wenlin, I'm here. Did you get impatient waiting? Gu Wenlin stiffened all over when he saw me, quickly becoming flustered. Ah, this, man. You're here. I noticed Bai Xiaomei looking at me, her expression complex, her eyes filled with jealousy and resentment. Unlike in my previous life, when I looked again, she had returned to normal, as if it had all been my imagination. I'm curious, as I haven't gotten married yet in this lifetime. Gu Wenlin met Bai Xiaomei ahead of time. How will he choose? Break up with me and choose Bai Xiaomei, or continue as in the previous life, marry me but live with Bai Xiaomei? It's getting late. Let's go in and get our marriage certificate. I pretended to be anxious. Gu Wenlin's face turned pale. Ouch, my foot hurts. Bai Xiaomei's timely cry broke the momentary silence. In her previous life, Bai Xiaomei wasn't injured. Why did she get injured this time, and at such a convenient moment? Could it be that she has also been reborn? I scrutinized Bai Xiaomei closely, but found nothing. Gu Wenlin took Bai Xiaomei to the clinic. The doctor said, apart from a wound that would have healed soon, there was nothing else. Bai Xiaomei blushed with embarrassment. Gu Wenlin, however, seemed delighted. On the way back, they passed by the marriage registration office. Gu Wenlin looked conflicted. Man, they've already closed. Shall we come back tomorrow? I said lightly. We'll see. We also need to choose a good day to get the certificate. However, there will never be a suitable day to get the certificate in this lifetime. I smiled at the corners of my lips. Gu Wenlin sighed. All right, I'll tell Aunt Wang when I get back. Gu Wenlin and I came by bicycle. On the way back, Bai Xiaomei got on Gu Wenlin's bike without hesitation. Gu Wenlin looked at me, feeling a bit awkward, but didn't refuse. I pretended not to see and rode off on my bicycle first. A cool breeze passed by, carrying the voices of Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin. Though I couldn't make out what they said, I could hear the happiness in their tones, and Gu Wenlin's deliberately restrained laughter. How long has it been since I last saw Gu Wenlin smile? It seemed that after meeting Bai Xiaomei, Gu Wenlin never smiled at me again in my previous life, but now, none of that matters to me anymore. As we entered the village, the villagers saw Bai Xiaomei sitting in Gu Wenlin's car. One arm wrapped around Gu Wenlin's waist. When they looked at me, they either winked or coughed and shook their heads. I knew what they were trying to convey, but I still smiled and returned to the dorm. Gu Wenlin had already rented a wedding house in advance for the marriage. Most of the stuff had been moved over. I passed by the bridal chamber and stopped to take a look. The bridal chamber had 2 bedrooms on either side, a central hall, and a small courtyard. In my previous life, after returning from the marriage registry, I saw the big red characters on our home and felt a sweet joy. No one knew that the day before getting the marriage certificate, the groom was happily busy decorating the bridal chamber. The wedding night fizzled out. That night, just like countless lonely nights to come, we lay quietly in bed, doing nothing, yet unable to fall asleep. Without waiting for Gu Wenlin to return, I rode my bike back to the dorm. As soon as I arrived at the dormitory, I took out the transfer letter to Beijing from the drawer. It was called a transfer, but what awaited me back home was a promotion and a raise. In my previous life, I gave up this opportunity because I was going to marry Gu Wenlin. 3 months later, we were assigned to different places. Then Gu Wenlin deliberately distanced himself from me. Later, I got pregnant, and Gu Wenlin disappeared. Not only did I have to raise the child alone, but I also had to take care of both sets of parents. Feeling overwhelmed at work, I was gradually moved from key departments to peripheral ones. Never got a promotion or a raise in my entire life. My elementary school-aged son always looks at me with disdain whenever he sees me being mediocre and busy. He said, "Other moms are so beautiful. Why can't you dress up like others do?" Myself, what Bai Xiaomei? The more I recall, the more shocked I become. It turns out that back then, my son was already in contact with his missing father. He kept it from me all his life. Ridiculous, too ridiculous. At dinner, Gu Wenlin didn't come to find me as he usually did. I went to the canteen to get my meal with my own lunchbox. In the canteen, I saw Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei sitting face to face. They kept serving each other dishes. Bai Xiaomei covered her mouth and laughed, not knowing what Gu Wenlin had said. When Gu Wenlin saw me, he was startled and quickly stood up. Man, you're here. Xiaomei just got home. And there's nothing to eat there. So I brought her here to grab something. I originally intended to. I was going to bring you something later, but I didn't expect you to come so early. Is it early? There aren't many people left in the cafeteria. There are hardly any dishes left. I can't help but think of my past life. After we got our marriage certificate, Gu Wenlin said he was going to the cafeteria to get some food, but I waited until very late before he returned. When he came back, his hands were empty. He just casually told me, "The food at the cafeteria is gone, just bear it for tonight." That night, if there was any sound, it must have been the rumbling of my hungry stomach. So, in my previous life, Gu Wenlin had already started taking care of Bai Xiaomei by this time. I didn't say a word and walked past him. I scraped up the leftover dishes and packed them back to the dorm. I was halfway through my meal when there was a knock at the dorm door. It was Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei. Gu Wenlin looked at me, his expression complicated, and he cleared his throat softly. Man, I want to talk to you about something." I looked at him without speaking. Gu Wenlin glanced at Bai Xiaomei, who was standing beside him, carefully. His eyes were full of tenderness, and when he spoke again, his tone was more resolute. Man, you know, Xiaomei just came back from the city. As you know, she's the only one in her family. And the house hasn't been lived in for a long time, needs cleaning. Look, we haven't gotten our marriage certificate yet. I was thinking, maybe we could let Xiaomei stay in our wedding house for a few days. I glanced at Bai Xiaomei. Bai Xiaomei, like a startled rabbit, shrank and hid behind Gu Wenlin. Throughout my past and present lives, I've seen 2 completely different Bai Xiaomei. I wouldn't believe it if you said Bai Xiaomei hasn't been reborn, but I don't have time to play along with her. I don't want this man anymore. No matter what Bai Xiaomei does, it seems superfluous to me. Sure, it's your house, you're in charge. Gu Wenlin didn't expect me to agree so readily. The prepared speech he had ready suddenly stuck in his throat, neither coming out nor going down. However, I don't like others touching my things. I'll go collect my stuff later. Gu Wenlin paused for a moment, then quickly said, No need. I'll move your things to another room." It turns out he not only wanted Bai Xiaomei to move into our bridal suite, he also wanted her to sleep in our marital bed. How ridiculous. I noticed Bai Xiaomei also smiled with a hint of amusement. After dinner, I grabbed a flashlight and went to the bridal chamber to tidy up. When I arrived, Gu Wenlin was busy helping Bai Xiaomei make the bed. It was the new bedsheet I had carefully chosen for the wedding night. Gu Wenlin looked at me in surprise. Man, why are you here? I've already put your things in my room. Oh, I responded and turned to go to the next room to get my things. Gu Wenlin caught up, his expression complicated, his eyes filled with emotions I couldn't decipher. Manon, at that moment, Bai Xiaomei ran out of the room. Wenlin Gij. Is that bedsheet for you and Manon Jia's wedding? Wouldn't it be inappropriate for me to use it? I don't mind though. Well, it's okay to sleep on dirty clothes. Bai Xiaomei's voice trailed off. I noticed Gu Wenlin looking at her with a look of pity in his eyes. He looked at me. Man, look, all the sheets at home are new. This one, how could I miss the brief flash of triumph in Bai Xiaomei's eyes? She doesn't know yet. But I've already decided not to put up with a scumbag like Gu Wenlin ever again, ever since I was reborn. I casually said, this bedsheet was bought with your money, so you get the final say. Thank you, Sister Man, Brother Wenlin, you're too kind to me. Wow, I never thought I'd one day get to live in Brother Wenlin's wedding house, and sleep in Brother Wenlin's wedding bed. Something about this just doesn't sit right. And Gu Wenlin sensed it too, but he looked at me without speaking. As if testing my limits, Bai Xiaomei finished speaking and seemed to realize something, covering her mouth and pretending to look guilty. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Sister Man, please don't misunderstand. I actually have nothing with Brother Wenlin. Alright, I guess I'll just sleep in dirty clothes, she said, reaching for the dirty clothes in the package. Gu Wenlin quickly stopped her. I reassured Bai Xiaomei. It's okay, you can sleep peacefully, it's not a big deal for me. Gu Wenlin couldn't read anything from my face and stood to the side, deep in thought. I was too busy packing to pay him any attention. Bai Xiaomei was deliberately trying to cover up the truth, but only made it worse. She just wanted to provoke me to make herself look more vulnerable and defenseless in front of Gu Wenlin, to make Gu Wenlin despise me. Why would I care, having been given a second chance at life? The only thing she should be grateful for is that she didn't dance in front of me in her previous life. She hasn't danced enough in this life yet. I leaned in close to Bai Xiaomei and whispered in her ear, Xiaomei, you're overthinking it. Why would I care? You're Wenlin Gij. It's for your own good. What's so hard to understand? I wouldn't mind if he married you. I just wonder if he will. I looked at Bai Xiaomei, then winked at her with a smile. Hearing this, Bai Xiaomei's face turned very pale. She couldn't figure out how I was different from the naive and easily manipulated Haman of her past life, but soon she realized something and looked at me with a triumphant expression. I packed up my things. I prepared to leave, carrying my bundle. Gu Wenlin suddenly called out to me from behind. He took a step forward, wanting to take the package off my back. I refused, as if, Bai Xiaomei has been reborn. In her previous life, she was a third wheel all her life. In this life, I'm here to prove myself. She treats Gu Wenlin's trash as her private property, and I don't want to get involved in that mess. When Gu Wenlin saw my evasive action, his eyes were filled with hurt. Man, are you angry? I can explain. Strange, someone who would rather waste my entire life in the past without ever speaking up, but now in this life, they finally speak, yet I already know what they're going to say. It's nothing more than using care as an excuse to emotionally drift away. Explanation, totally unnecessary. Besides, Bai Xiaomei wouldn't agree either. As expected, hearing Bai Xiaomei scream, Gu Wenlin couldn't care less about seeing me off and turned back to run into the house. I chuckled, adjusted the bundle on my back, and left. In my previous life, I was married to Gu Wenlin for 21 years, and my life ended at the age of 45. That age counts as an untimely death. When I gave birth to that ungrateful child, I had a difficult labor and severe bleeding. That's when my health took a turn for the worse. Later, before I had fully recovered, I had to take care of my son alone, and also deal with Gu Wenlin's unreasonable parents. I had to work while running around looking for Gu Wenlin. My health is deteriorating day by day. Raising my son to the age of 20 is the result of my relentless efforts. Since Gu Wenlin's disappearance, I haven't had a single good night's sleep. Now that I've been given a second chance, I didn't marry Gu Wenlin. I didn't exhaust my life through hard work. My body is healthy. I can finally sleep peacefully. I slept soundly for the first time in 2 lifetimes, without a single dream. The next day, I asked my supervisor for leave and informed them of my agreement to transfer back to Beijing. The supervisor was puzzled. Didn't you say you didn't want to be separated from Gu after getting married? I shook my head. I won't marry him. For me, my career is the most important thing now. The leader looked at me with a gratified smile. In my past life, the leader also advised me. He said, with your abilities, you could achieve greater things. It was my own folly, for the sake of a scoundrel, that I gave up such a great opportunity. I asked my boss to keep my departure a secret. I also agreed with my boss on the time of my departure. Leaving my boss's office, I headed straight to the train station. Train tickets were hard to come by during this period, and long lines were inevitable. As I rode past the wedding house, through the fence, I saw Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei squatting in the yard brushing their teeth together. Gu Wenlin skillfully and naturally took the towel from the clothesline and personally helped Bai Xiaomei dry her hands. Bai Xiaomei looked at him with a deeply affectionate expression. It seems like they've made a significant leap forward after a night together. I saw you riding past the gate. Gu Wenlin's face turned pale, and he quickly distanced himself from Bai Xiaomei. I averted my gaze, completely ignoring one who looked guilty and another who seemed hurt. I arrived at the train station by memory. After paying to store my bicycle, I followed the crowd into the ticket hall. During this period, everyone traveling long distances carried large and small bags, from needles and thread to bedding and baskets. Anything that could be carried was taken on the train. I looked at the crowded sea of people and finally decided to bring as little as possible, especially bulky items that take up space. Those that can be sold should be sold, and those that can't should be given away. After waiting in line for a long time, I chose a sleeper ticket over a standing ticket. I suffered a lifetime in my previous life, and in this one, I just want to be good to myself. It was already afternoon when I left the train station, after what felt like a lifetime, with no experience. I forgot to bring food and had to queue. I missed lunch while buying the train ticket, and now I was starving. I asked my way along and found the state-run restaurant where I had been with Gu Wenlin in my previous life. Back then, we arranged to meet here for a blind date through a mutual colleague. Gu Wenlin was good-looking, with fair skin, the clean type I like. He also worked in a technical field, just like me. Plus, both our families were in the city of Jing. At the time, I thought it would be convenient for our families to stay in touch in the future. He was also quite satisfied with my appearance. We decided to give it a try. During our relationship, he wasn't particularly great to me, but he wasn't bad either. He takes care of me in every aspect of life. At work, he helps me solve some of the tough problems we encounter. There isn't much of that heart-pounding love between us. It's more about being a good fit. I thought I would live a peaceful life with him forever. Unexpectedly, he dropped a bombshell on me out of nowhere. Gu Wenlin proposed to me 2 months after we started dating. At that time, the man who decided to marry me seemed genuinely happy. In the end, childhood love couldn't compete with a sudden encounter. Bai Xiaomei's appearance made him feel the thrill of love. His emotions drifted away. Love struck without warning, and he fell deeply, but he should never have done it. He shouldn't have selfishly abandoned everything for love, wasting my life. I parked my bike and entered the state-run restaurant. There aren't many people at this time, so I spotted Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei sitting in the corner at a glance. Bai Xiaomei was the first to see me. She stood up and enthusiastically waved at me. Sister Man, are you here to eat? Just in time, Wenlin and I are together. Come join us. Don't be shy. It's just adding another pair of chopsticks. That's it. No wonder she's the ultimate green tea who's stolen someone else's husband for over 2 decades. She managed to put herself in the spotlight with just 2 sentences. How embarrassing. I hope I'm not interrupting your date, I said with a smile. Glancing at Gu Wenlin was clearly flustered. He hurriedly stood up to help me move the chair. Sister Man, please don't misunderstand. The relationship between me and Brother Wenlin isn't what you think. Brother Wenlin just thinks I'm too skinny and wants to help me gain some weight. Well, she's showing off again. I ignored Gu Wenlin's actions and sat down next to Bai Xiaomei. Gu Wenlin rubbed his nose and awkwardly sat down. Seeing the table full of lavish dishes, I was stunned. Wow. This meal must cost Gu Wenlin half a month's salary. He's really generous with Bai Xiaomei. Bai Xiaomei gave me a piece of braised pork. Sister Man, try the braised pork here. Brother Wenlin said it's the best, and he insisted on ordering it for me. He also said that when he leaves, he'll pack me another portion. Come, try this. And the fish, try the fish too. I've never had such delicious fish before. Wenlin said he can cook too, and once we get back, he'll often cook for me. Can Gu Wenlin cook? When I was pregnant in my previous life, he was all over the place in the kitchen, either dropping pots or breaking dishes. In the end, I had to push him out of the kitchen and cook myself. Turns out love can be fate. I took the braised pork and savored it carefully. It was indeed delicious. Everything in this era is the real deal. This pork is genuinely delicious. And this river fish, it has no trace of oil smell. It's truly fresh and tender. I savored it carefully, completely oblivious to what Bai Xiaomei was saying. Bai Xiaomei suddenly let out a scream, nearly making me drop my chopsticks in fright. Sorry. Sister Man, I just got startled by a fishbone. Where was I? Oh, right, Sister Man. Have you ever tried Brother Wenlin's cooking? If you haven't, you can come over tonight. Brother Wenlin promised to cook for me, right, Brother Wenlin? Oh, scared by a fishbone, you really scared me. Bai Xiaomei clearly couldn't stand my nonchalant attitude. She deliberately acted scared by a fishbone to remind me. Flaunt away. Keep flaunting. Wait till I'm gone. See who you can show off to then. Little Mei, you're so lucky. I've known your brother Wenlin for so long, and I didn't even know he could cook. You two just met, and he's already agreed to cook for you. Thanks to you, I get to enjoy a delicious meal tonight. It was meant to drive me absolutely green with envy. I didn't expect that, and I really don't care. Bai Xiaomei was stunned. Gu Wenlin's face alternated between green and white during the process. I continued eating, completely unbothered by their reactions. As soon as my tofu with chopped green onions arrived, I pushed it in front of Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin, inviting them to share. The atmosphere at the table became much quieter afterward. Finally, I could eat in peace. After leaving the state-run restaurant, I said goodbye to Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin and rode away on my bike. I need to go to the post office to call my parents. After Gu Wenlin disappeared in my previous life, I was left alone with the child. Taking care of Gu Wenlin's parents while also working, I was so busy every day that I felt like a spinning top. For some reason, even though my family background was no worse than theirs, Mr. and Mrs. Gu just didn't like me. Not only did they refuse to help me with childcare, but they also went out of their way to make my life difficult. As soon as I showed them the slightest bit of disrespect, they would make a scene at my workplace. Back then, it was hard to find a stable job, let alone supporting my son, so I endured it. After my parents heard about my situation, they didn't hesitate to help me while taking care of their grandchildren. They thought about finding someone else to marry me off to. However, when Gu's parents found out, they stormed over to my parents' place and caused a huge scene, accusing our family of trying to drive them to their deaths. Not only that, but whenever a man was willing to meet me, my mother-in-law would always bring my son and follow behind. Then she would have my son run up to me and throw a tantrum. Gradually, no one was willing to meet me anymore. I gave up the idea of remarrying and devoted myself to raising my son. During this time, my parents suffered a lot because of Gu's parents, but more than anything, they worried about me. Even at their passing, the one thing they couldn't let go of was me. The call was quickly connected. After what felt like a lifetime, hearing my parents' voices again, I cried. They could hear the catch in my voice. My parents were very worried. They thought Gu Wenlin was bullying me. They were so angry they wanted to confront Gu Wenlin. I calmed them down and told my parents about the recent events and my decision. My parents were silent for a long time on the phone. They only said that if it was a well-thought-out decision of mine, they respected it. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. I told them about my transfer back to Beijing. The train ticket for my departure is in 3 days. My parents said they would definitely cook all my favorite dishes and wait for me at home. I returned to the dorm and opened the door. I found Gu Wenlin sitting at my desk, flipping through study materials. I almost forgot, he also has a key to my dorm. I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw the drawer with the transfer report was locked. With my relationship with Gu Wenlin still uncertain, I didn't want any unexpected issues before leaving. Gu Wenlin saw me return and quickly stood up to pour me some water. He had something to say, but he hesitated and never got the words out. I sat on the bed, slowly sipping my tea, waiting for him to speak. Finally, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He turned to face me. Man. It's not what you think with Xiaomei. I swallowed the tea in my mouth and said indifferently, what do you think I think? Gu Wenlin choked. If I were still whole man from my previous life, I would believe him no matter what he explained or not, but I have lived a whole life, seen and experienced my own miserable existence. Even if Gu Wenlin explains 1,000 times, it's all bullshit to me. He said this to me by my bedside just before I died in my previous life. He fell deeply in love with Bai Xiaomei at first sight. It was true love. The bond between him and me pales in comparison. I feel more like a third wheel in his relationship with Bai Xiaomei, a flaw, a thorn in the flesh. Man, believe it or not, I just felt that since Bai Xiaomei's parents passed away, it's not easy for her as an orphan, so I wanted to take a little extra care of her. When Gu Wenlin explained to me, his eyes were wandering. How can I trust him if he can't even look me in the eye? But I still spoke up. Okay, I trust you. Can you leave now? I'm exhausted after a long day and want to rest. Oh, and could you please leave my dorm key? Leave it behind. Gu Wenlin's face instantly froze. Obviously, he could tell I didn't believe him. After Gu Wenlin left, I wiped the chair he had sat in. Dirty. It was really dirty. I started packing up my things. In the half year I worked here, I didn't have much stuff, just some clothes, bedding, and daily necessities. What really needs to be sorted out are the wedding items I bought with Gu Wenlin. It seems I need to find some time to settle things with Gu Wenlin before I leave. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. It was Gu Wenlin. He was holding a pastry box, presented it to me happily. Here, man, open it and take a look. I took the pastry box, opened it, and found money and tickets inside. Gu Wenlin smiled and said, "I've been ready since early morning. After we get married, all my money will be yours to manage. You just need to give me an allowance every month, just enough for living expenses." Looking at Gu Wenlin in front of me, I suddenly felt a sense of unfamiliarity. In my previous life, I didn't even hand over my salary. After getting married, I never saw a single coin from him. I had a massive hemorrhage during childbirth, and his parents didn't contribute a single penny. They even shouted, "Let her die. She's just a waste of money." It was my parents and brother's family who paid the doctors to save me, and that's how I survived. Later, when his parents fell ill and needed money for medication and funeral arrangements, it was all on me. During Gu Wenlin's disappearance for 20 years, he secretly contacted his son. He must have been in contact with his parents as well. I don't know if he gave them money. All I know is that before Mrs. Gu passed away, she called my son in. When my son came out, although he tried hard to look sad, I still saw a hint of glee in his eyes. After the funeral, I searched her room but found nothing of value. Later, I fell ill and couldn't afford treatment, so I just dragged on. This dragged on until I had a brief moment of recovery. Thinking about my previous life, Gu Wenlin might have known I needed money for my illness, thinking that my son might be hiding the money his grandmother gave him, yet unwilling to use it to pay for my treatment. I felt a dull pain in my heart. Gu Wenlin saw me suddenly tremble all over. He hurried forward to support me. I pushed him away with a forceful shove. I leaned against the wall, taking a long while to recover. When I looked at Gu Wenlin again, there was only coldness in my eyes. Gu Wenlin's heart skipped a beat. I looked at the money in the tin box. Since Gu Wenlin brought the money, it's only natural that I didn't lose out. The accounts from past lives are beyond reckoning, but this life must be settled. I took out half of the wedding expenses from the box. I handed the remaining money and the box to Gu Wenlin. Gu Wenlin saw my actions, puzzled, but didn't ask anything. Even the slowest person could sense the change in me. He couldn't understand what had happened in those few short minutes. It felt like something was slipping out of control. After confirming that I was unharmed, he left, looking back several times. That night, I slept very uneasily. I saw my past life. My parents told Gu Wenlin about my life-threatening hemorrhage during childbirth. Gu Wenlin just gave a casual ahm-ham over the phone. I saw again how, when my son was still a baby, Gu's parents secretly took him to meet Gu Wenlin without my knowledge. Gu Wenlin knew I had been searching for him, yet he conspired with everyone to keep it from me. No wonder those who knew him refused to speak to me. I also dreamed of colleagues I had worked with for many years in my previous life. They praised the love between Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei. As for me, this wife, I am merely the red thread, pulled by mistake. When the matchmaker was drunk, how ridiculous, the dream is over, and tears have soaked the pillow, but I'm still alive, healthy, and there are still opportunities in life, aren't there? The next 2 days were busy with work handover. I had made an appointment with Bai Xiaomei to eat dishes cooked by Gu Wenlin, and because the money box that night went silent without a trace, I thought that was the end of it. Then in the evening, Bai Xiaomei came over. She invited me to dinner. I couldn't refuse her hospitality, so I agreed. I arrived at the door with a gift just in time for dinner. Through the fence, I saw Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin embracing. Gu Wenlin's hand was caressing the softest part of Bai Xiaomei. His face turned pale beyond anything I had ever seen when he saw me. Bai Xiaomei looked equally terrified, busy fixing nearly unbuttoned buttons. I said nothing and turned to leave. I ate the big dinner Bai Xiaomei treated me to tonight. No need for a gift. Not long after you left, Gu Wenlin caught up with me. He grabbed me and urgently tried to explain. Man, listen to me. Xiaomei and I are not what you think. What do you mean? Is it the two of you hugging disheveled, or your hand in places it shouldn't be? These past 2 days, despite being busy with work handover, I've heard plenty of gossip from Aunt Wang. Aunt Wang absolutely despises mistresses, especially someone like Bai Xiaomei, who not only knowingly becomes a mistress but also repeatedly flaunts it in front of the rightful partner. She always keeps me updated with the disgusting antics of Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei, she said. Someone in the village saw Bai Xiaomei deliberately brushing up against Gu Wenlin. And Gu Wenlin didn't move away. Someone saw Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin sharing a bowl of food. Someone saw Bai Xiaomei and Gu Wenlin holding hands in a secluded place. Gu Wenlin looks rather disheveled right in front of me. I can't understand why he did so much with Bai Xiaomei, yet he still comes to me, asking me not to misunderstand. Does he want me to take care of his parents at home again, just like in my previous life? Is he and Bai Xiaomei being all lovey-dovey outside? Before Bai Xiaomei appeared, I was the only one who could get close to you. Just an hour after Bai Xiaomei showed up, you carried her to the hospital. Within less than 3 hours of knowing her, you let her sit on the bike and hold your waist. In just 5 hours of knowing her, you left me behind and took her to the cafeteria for a meal. In just 7 hours of knowing her, you allowed her to stay in our wedding home, sleep in our marital bed, and use the bedding I prepared for our marriage, sheets. In just 1 day of knowing her, you were willing to spend half a month's salary to treat her to a lavish dinner. You'd be willing to cook for her personally, even though you've only known her for a day. You don't avoid her touch, share a bowl of food with her, and hold hands. Now you embrace him, caress her. Can you still swear to me with a straight face that you two are completely innocent? Do you think I'd believe that? Perhaps each word of mine was more explosive than the last, and Gu Wenlin's body couldn't help but tremble. He stammered at the corner of his lips, but couldn't utter a single word. Let me guess. Why are you so afraid that I might misunderstand, that you feel the need to explain to me, even throwing money at me, trying to make me believe you? On the day we agreed to get our marriage certificate, you fell head over heels for Bai Xiaomei. Bai Xiaomei also had a liking for you. So she pretended to be. Injury prevented us from getting our marriage certificate, and at that time, because you had feelings for Bai Xiaomei, you actually didn't want to continue getting our marriage certificate. Perhaps these days, you've come to understand, you love Bai Xiaomei and want to spend romantic moments with her. I looked into Gu Wenlin's eyes and said, word by word, but at the same time, you need a capable wife to help you take care of your parents. Wouldn't it be even better if this virtuous partner could help you take care of your parents until the end? Am I right? At the end, Gu Wenlin suddenly looked up at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. Seeing his shocked expression, I was actually feeling sad. I feel sad for wasting my whole life on someone so full of schemes. The sweetness I thought I had experienced after marriage was just a joke. I can no longer deceive myself. Similarly, I will not allow Gu Wenlin to continue deceiving me. That evening, I returned to the dormitory to pack my bags for leaving. Bai Xiaomei appeared at this moment. She glared at me with a fierce expression. Oh man, you're back too, aren't you? Seeing my calm demeanor, she let out a soft snort. When she looked back at me, her eyes full of disdain and mockery. What does it matter if you took Wenlin's wife's place in your previous life? In the end, you were just a servant to his parents all your life. You raised your son with great effort. Yet he called me mom behind your back. Haha, isn't that hilarious? Your husband is mine, and so is your son. And this life, even though you've been reborn too, you can't change Wenlin. Your husband is mine, and so is your son. And this life, even though you've been reborn too, you can't change Wenlin. The fact that my brother loves me. In this life, Wenlin's wife will be me, and only me. Although I was utterly disappointed in my son from my previous life. Hearing him call Bai Xiaomei mom behind my back still made my heart ache, just a little. Thankfully, no matter if he allows it or not, I won't bring him into this world in this life. Bai Xiaomei strutted around like a cock who had just won a fight, blabbering endlessly in front of me. But when she saw the pity, sympathy, and compassion in my eyes as I looked at her, there was no trace of anger. She fled in panic. To me, she was just another pitiful soul, no different from myself. Would they still be able to live a happy life like they did in their previous life without me covering for her and Gu Wenlin behind the scenes? In the dead of night, I couldn't sleep, so I left the dorm to gaze at the moon. I was startled by a dark figure sitting by the door. By the light spilling from the room, I recognized it was Gu Wenlin. He reeked of alcohol. I have no idea how long I've been sitting here. I realized that even if I were to live another life, I still wouldn't understand him. I grabbed a flashlight and went to look for Bai Xiaomei. Bai Xiaomei was clearly taken aback when I came to ask her to pick up Gu Wenlin, yet, she didn't say a word and followed me back to the dorm. Gu Wenlin was asleep, and Bai Xiaomei struggled to pull her away. I didn't help. The man she fell for, let her deal with it herself. The next day, as I was about to leave with my luggage, Aunt Wang came to find me. She dragged me along to watch a show. I followed her all the way to the house where Gu Wenlin and I had once lived as a married couple. Seeing Gu Wenlin's furious expression as he glared at Bai Xiaomei, who was sitting on the ground disheveled, it turns out that last night, Bai Xiaomei took Gu Wenlin back, thinking about how Gu Wenlin chased after me, only to return in a daze, and how he passed out drunk in front of my dormitory. Even in his dreams, He was calling out my name, she simply couldn't sit still anymore. Taking advantage of Gu Wenlin's drunken state, she slept with him even though he mistook her for me. After roughly piecing together the story from the villagers, I felt sick to my stomach. I turned around with my luggage, ready to leave, but Gu Wenlin grabbed me. Manon, let me explain, is this jerk never going to stop? I took a deep breath, looking at him with an utterly calm expression. Gu Wenlin, I thought I made myself very clear to you yesterday. Gu Wenlin wanted to see through my eyes if there was still any affection left for him, but to his disappointment, all he saw in my eyes was indifference, as if he were a stranger. Not caring means not getting angry, not getting angry means it doesn't matter. He finally realized that I truly didn't care about him anymore. Gu Wenlin weakly let go of my hand, his voice was muffled, and from behind me, he quietly said, I'm sorry, what exactly am I sorry for this life, or the last one? I left Yuanshan village, I returned to Jingshi, seeing my healthy and happy parents again, I burst into tears. Every day after my rebirth, although I appeared relaxed, a heavy burden always weighed on my heart. That was my life, a life so heavy it felt suffocating. How could I possibly let it go so easily? Gu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomei deserve nothing less than 1,000 cuts. But I have my parents and siblings, I can't let two rotten people ruin my fresh start in life. Only now, seeing my parents still healthy and unburdened by me, I finally felt the relief of having lifted a heavy burden. I spent a few days with my parents, experiencing the warmth of filial piety. I returned to work, without the burden of my son and Mr. and Mrs. Gu. I did an excellent job at work. I was promoted and received a raise soon after. I was also hired as a professor at a university. Fulfilling my long-held dream of being an educator, I heard news about Gu Wenlin again a year later. Bai Xiaomei finally fulfilled her wish from her previous life by marrying Gu Wenlin and becoming his rightful wife. Soon after the wedding, Gu Wenlin took her back to the capital city. Gu's parents are anything but easy to deal with. In my previous life, despite my good family background and successful career, they still found me objectionable. They began to look down even more on Bai Xiaomei, who had no job. Thus, they went to great lengths to torment Bai Xiaomei. The Gu household was in constant chaos. Gu Wenlin wanted to take Bai Xiaomei away, but Gu's parents disagreed and made a huge fuss. They believed that Bai Xiaomei, being unemployed, was marrying above her station by marrying their son. The mere thought of Bai Xiaomei ruining my plans with their son infuriated me. They were filled with seething hatred. No matter what, they won't agree to Gu Wenlin taking Bai Xiaomei away. They are determined to keep Bai Xiaomei by their side, treating her like a servant. Even childhood friends can't compete with fate. Romantic moments can't compare to the practicalities of daily life. Over time, Gu Wenlin found Bai Xiaomei to be just ordinary. Without Gu Wenlin's love, Bai Xiaomei was no different from a shrew. Soon after, Gu Wenlin applied for a transfer and this time, he didn't take Bai Xiaomei. Later, it was said that Bai Xiaomei fought back. She and Gu's parents tormented each other, and all of them lived miserably. Later, it was rumored that Gu Wenlin had an affair. In a fit of anger, Bai Xiaomei went to Gu Wenlin's workplace and filed a complaint against him. She accused Gu Wenlin of raping her while drunk in Yuanshan village. This was something I didn't expect. Indeed, anyone who can be the third wheel to a scumbag for a lifetime is no ordinary person. What surprised me was Gu Wenlin, in my past life. He resented me because of Bai Xiaomei's regret. Overcome with grief, he stared at the photo of Bai Xiaomei. Seeing me leave, he was filled with remorse. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments below. See you in the next video.